Welcome to a new episode of the Jittery Zeitgeist. I'm your host, Bat Eater, aka Kale, aka Kale Ye. I'm here with a panel of hip-hop nerds, hip-hop historians. Coming up first, we got the legendary producer, Cranberry Dave.
Hey.
We got the YouTube legend, Trixie.
Hello.
And we have the producer of The Dick Show, the hardest man working in podcasting, Vizzy G.
Hey yo, what up?
Today we're going to talk about two things and two things only, Rollout and Donda 2. But first,
Roll out.
how are you guys doing?
Out.
How's everybody doing?
I'm doing great. I'm wearing golden Ray-Bans. They were the most expensive ones I could buy at the place I bought the glasses at.
I'm doing spectacular. I'm wearing flip-flops.
I gave you $500 yesterday.
You did. Thank you, by the
You're
way.
welcome.
I don't know
You're
if
my
I properly
producer.
thanked you, but thank you.
Thank you for your work.
Thank
on
him
Sucker
live.
Punch EP. This is, I'm saying it so you all know. We're making moves, we're going places, we're doing stuff.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to ask you about
We're
that.
making moves and going places and doing stuff, though, because when you hear this podcast Thursday, you will have one day to potentially come and see most of the crew. Dave, Trixie, and I. Not Bat Eater, sorry. We're in Texas. But if you hear this Thursday when it comes out, you'll be able to come see us Friday, Saturday, or Sunday at Too Many Games in Philadelphia. Look it up.
Speaking of plugging where we're at, can everybody go ahead and tell us where we can find us at? Trixie, you go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Yig Studio on YouTube, YGG Studio. I work very closely with the ASE Presents channel where this podcast is on podcasts like this. And you can also find me on Twitter and all the other social media at Golden Witch Fire. That's my Patreon. That's also my Cash App and everything. Send me money. I love it.
Please.
Amazing.
Dave, tell us where we can find your stuff at, bud.
eBay.
Yeah, you
now.
can find me at...
What's your PayPal? What's your Cash App?
You can find me at youtube.com/Cranberry Dave, soundcloud.com/Cranberry Dave. No weird spelling, like the fruit. You can find the fruit at the grocery store.
Riley.
I love that, Dave. You're my favorite member of the podcast. You can find me on Twitter at ASE Presents, Instagram, fucking TikTok. I don't use that. You can find me here on this YouTube.
And you have a
Enjoy
SoundCloud
the
too,
music we
right?
make. I don't really use it. Yeah, soundcloud.com/VZG.
You can find me at bateatermusic.bandcamp.com and bateatermusic at SoundCloud.
And we're all a part of Sucker Punch.
Sucker
the epic
Punch.
super
I'm
group.
the newest member of Sucker Punch. How about that?
Your
Let's talk
debut.
about that first.
Your
You
debut.
Yeah, for
we
real.
did a remix of a song called Theme Song by a group called 47 Eyes on Me.
Mm-hmm.
That is that works closely with our friends at XY Myth, youtube.com/XY Myth. I don't know how you would pronounce that spoken out loud. That's just their @ on Twitter.
Yeah.
But Gon is the wrestler, the luchador that we work with in other projects and stuff. And he has a card game called Band Brawlers that Sucker Punch is a part of, but not the version with Kale in it. It was the group before that. Just the EP group, which is Mint, Dairon, me, Trixie, and Dave. But we have expanded after the EP. We were like, you know what? This is almost perfect. We just need Kale. So we're going to make a remix for these guys. They liked our group. Our group's in their card game. Their card game is going to be played at conventions and is going to, it's like a music battle card game where the cards will play stems to songs.
Wow.
It's really involved. It's really cool. I'll put a link in the description. You can check out. They've done some demos and pre-plays of it.
And all the art is just insanely beautiful.
Yeah, the art's
And wait
crazy.
for the bonus episode where we all play it together.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah,
That sounds good.
That's a good idea. It'll be a while though. The game is very in prototype phase. It's just in conventions right now.
That's
they just
no sweat.
set it up as a panel basically and play it. So that's the origin of Sucker Punch. I brought a group together to be part of this musical card game instead of just me or Trixie or something. It's like, well, let's make a whole group out of it. And it's sort of become like the Avengers, if you'd ask Trixie, who's on like an MCU kick right now. But we needed someone else. So we found Bat Eater, and then we asked you. Well, you were a fan of what we were doing, right?
Of course.
What was the timeline like on your side, I guess?
Well, let me go ahead and speak on my fandom real quick, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. I've been a diehard Trixie fan since, 2013, like several years before I graduated high school. I graduated in 2015. So I've known about Trixie for close to a decade, right?
Damn.
Right? Doesn't that make you feel old?
Everything does.
That's been a part of my life for a very long time. And then seeing the progression of this podcast that I listened to, and finding out that Vizzy was a part of that, Vizzy was producing that, and then also Vizzy making music, as well as me participating in the live chat of that. Me and Vizzy ended up working together for this comedy album I made called the Sean album, Sean's very own album, which I just, while we've been talking, I just sold another copy while we've been talking, got another little bit of money out of that. But
hell yeah.
Good shit.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the guy that sent the money for sure too. But it's been very, very surreal. It's an incredible experience. I'm incredibly excited to be a part of this, and I will dedicate as much as I possibly can to nailing this. But on top of that, what's more exciting? Got a couple albums with people I love, music I love. Cranberry Dave, a great producer. Vizzy, a great rapper. Trixie, a great rapper. Also, turns out, all four of us, pretty decent on a podcast together. Who knew?
Right? Dude, it's crazy. So first, Bat Eater, did you find out about the Dick Show through me or independently of me? Okay. So the craziest part about all of this to me is that like you and Cranberry Dave were both longtime fans of me that like are both incredibly talented, and like I never would have found out. Like, I'm sure that I had seen some of Dave's comments before on like Twitter or somewhere, because I remember that his name was recognizable to me when Vizzy took note of him. But it was like when me and Vizzy started working together, then he was the one to actually start like investigating the people who were surrounding me, because I was just kind of always overwhelmed by it. Like, it's just millions and millions of names, and like I couldn't really parse through it and try to keep track of it. But, you know, Vizzy came in and was like, well, you know, like he would investigate the people and figure out like, is this someone who I want to talk to or not, especially if they're a fan.
You make it sound weird. I don't like investigate.
Okay, investigate's a strong word.
He's not your handler. You know,
if someone DMs me, instead of not looking at it or just reading it and responding quickly or something, I will like go to their Twitter page and I will scroll to their like fucking links, and if they're like, oh, let's make music together, I'll like look at what music they're making and hit play on the videos. I know that is much further than most people are willing to go.
Yeah, I think that's like the sane way to do it though, because to me it's like I'm
just not seeking like out people to like investigate them.
It's just so weird to me that like most of us, like we see a comment on Twitter and it's just like it doesn't register as like a person. You know, it's just like, oh, that's just a name on Twitter. But that's a person who has taken the time to talk to you, which if you met that person face to face in real life and somebody just comes up and talks to you, you're probably going to be a lot more curious about them than people tend to be on the internet. And so like, and I've gotten to a point now where like I will literally, I investigate the shit out of people. I'm going to use that word, and I have no qualms about it. But like the other day, like I tweeted out like the new Katie Day album, like, oh, I can't believe I had missed this album earlier this year. I literally, everybody who hit like on that tweet, I went to see who they were, just because I like, only so many people could possibly give a fuck about this thing, and I wanted to know who they were. And like within like 2 people, I found someone who everything they tweeted was amazing, and I was like, all right, there's a follow. Like I just made a friend basically off of they liked a tweet that I considered like conspicuous to have hit like on. So yeah, no, I investigate the hell out of it. But like to me, that part of that is because like I want to make those connections now. I want to see, like, I want to know who's following me, you know?
That's
like,
an amazing way to do it, too.
yeah.
It's very...
That sounds like
Well,
a perfect album name right there, is Producers Love Trixie. Because that's exactly what's going on here. Is
Producers, artists, writers, all are like the core of my fan base. Yeah.
That's a very
just
impressive
saying.
fan base too. Is like you have
Trixie.
creatives that
Yeah.
attach themselves, because that's also the thing too, is the type
It's
of
people who
content
listen to the videos in the background while they do art is what I mean to
Yeah.
say. Like that's
Yes,
that's most of who
yes.
my audience. It's like people
Exactly.
who tell me, yeah, I listen to you like because you have 8 hours of talking about creativity that I could just put on and do creativity. you
Let
know?
me tell you something that may not blow your mind, but may be a little bit of a paradigm shift here. I started watching your videos on an Xbox 360
Oh my god.
with the YouTube
That's
app
funny.
on my
Jesus
TV in my
Christ.
room, laying on the floor, watching your videos, full attention on the videos. There was an 8
Trixie groomed you. That's
like there was a
That sounds
se-
really
Shane
cozy,
Dawson.
though.
there was a several year period. I don't think I've ever listened or watched
I'm
one
just
of
thinking
your
about how broke you must have been in 2013 that you were using an Xbox to be
Yeah,
watching.
I grew up in the ghetto.
Yeah.
For real, I don't think there's been one video or anything that you put out that I've consumed that I've also been doing something else while I've consumed it. So I think there is a duality there. I think there is people that will listen to your things in the background. And then there's also the psychos like me that watch you play tarot while you're talking about sword art online for the whole.
Yeah, that's how I
Well,
am.
hey,
I
mean-
actually watch the videos.
I have watched that particular video multiple times because I find it strangely mesmerizing. But like, especially because the video gets so fucked up in the middle, like it's very badly recorded. So it becomes like almost impossible to tell what's happening, and it's weirdly fascinating to me. But
That's called
yeah, no,
art. If
I
you
think a lot of those
did it
people
on
just go back.
purpose.
Like, there are people who tell me that they've listened to the Astro Score Sucks like 25 times just because
Yeah.
they keep putting it on while they draw. So like, that's more of the. I think there's lots of people who pay attention to it the first time, and then just it becomes an endlessly listenable podcast, basically.
Well, you have a very charming voice. You have, and I'm not trying to suck your dick about this. It's just, there definitely is
What dick?
a quality.
Lady Dick.
Yeah, please. come
Yeah,
on.
my apologies. I'm not trying to suck her dick about this. It's just, there's something very, again, mesmerizing. I think one of the first times I spoke to you, I mentioned that not necessarily in quality of content, but just necessarily like the vibe of content. Like I get the same thing from like a nostalgia critic or an angry video game nerd, where it's something that I would fall asleep to. It's something that like was a part of my life. And I get that I'm like edging closer to the Stan line here, which I'm not trying to do, but that's why it's very surreal that I'm a part of this group Sucker Punch, because it started out as me listening and watching Trixie's videos while I was in high school when I was learning to start making beats, and then go, hey asshole, guess what? In 10 years you're going to be making beats for that person.
Right.
Yeah.
So when did you start listening to the music? Was it like pretty much immediately?
Um
Because she's been doing Trial of the Golden Witch for a long time.
I listened to I remember the first time I found out about Trial of the Golden Witch music was through Twitter, whenever she posted this video, and she said, hey, this girl she was with back then like is twerking in my video, like check it out. And it was
That would be Broken Brilliance.
yes, and the vocals that you had on it were so like sharp, and like the attack on them, and I know attack on it is like an instrument term, but like the attack on your vocals were so like quick and sharp and good and like fucking wild that like I couldn't get away from it. And then like as I went further, I went like, oh shit, Vizzy shit that I've heard on this podcast that I listen to That's also good. That's where I heard Clouded.
Maddox,
Clouded
what
was
have you- what
fucking
things-
crazy to me. I loved
Wow,
that.
was really good.
And then
Yeah.
listening to Cranberry Dave, I went on a deep dive. The second I listened to one Cranberry Dave beat, I found his SoundCloud, and then just dredged the whole thing. And then Dairon, the exact same thing. And then Mint Salad, once I found out that she had a SoundCloud, I dredged the whole thing. Like, there's no lack of talent on any...
You haven't heard my second SoundCloud though, have you?
Please, if you send that to
boy.
me, I will send you a blowjob through the mail, dude.
I didn't
Through
even
the
know about your
mail.
second SoundCloud. I gotta get on this.
Yo,
Dude, please.
Actually, Dave has actually copy struck me on YouTube before.
I not
letting
on
me use
purpose.
beats that he's already
Oh my
distrocated out like somewhere obscurely in the internet. And, like,
Mm.
No, Riley came to me. I got home from work and he was like, "Hey, are you this guy on YouTube?" And I'm like, "Bitch,
I was
I might be."
mad all day trying to figure out who fucking claimed this beat that Dave told me was his. And I had come to the realization that he probably didn't steal a beat and that someone else probably isn't pretending to have the beat. It's probably just him with two different fucking like accounts. And he's like claiming me as like some Asian name. It was really funny though.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 sitcom moment for the household. I was like, are you fucking copy striking me? Like, you gave me the beat. So he had to release that claim.
But we're not here to beat ears. We're not here to eat beers. And we're not here to eat bats. We're here to
Ah,
talk
you beat me
about
to it.
Trixie's topic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Freak power.
Go
I
ahead,
mean,
Trixie.
album
Tell us what we got to
rollouts.
talk about.
Yeah, we're talking about album rollouts because there's lots of different ways to do it. We've done it a few different ways. I've done it a bunch of different ways. But
It's hard every time.
it's hard every time, and there's traditional ideas of what like supposedly works, but they basically only work if the songs pop off, right? So like the usually it's a single comes out like a couple months before the album, and maybe it hits, maybe it doesn't. Usually the second single comes out like right around when the album's actually dropping, maybe third. These days, there's a lot of times where like half the fucking album is already out by the time the thing
Yeah.
drops, and it's been like
Yeah.
4 months or something. But
Hey, sometimes albums don't drop. Like Donda
Yeah.
2 on the Stim Player.
right,
I've had that, but most people haven't.
and with Ye, you've got like songs that will drop supposedly tied to an album, and then there's like 45 of them in the course of 2 years, and then the album has none of those songs on it. Like
He does do that.
that's the truly fucking schizophrenic rollout.
Or the album rollout continues after the album's release because he's changing all the songs. Like Life of Pablo.
How many unofficial Kanye or Ye West albums have each of you listened to? Because there's hundreds of them on YouTube of like just compilations of
Probably
you know,
yeah,
three.
no.
stuff.
I'll tell you right now, there's been 3 that I've listened to, and at least one of them I've sent to Vizzy. And I remember like talking with Vizzy about it and nerding out about it. That's the cool thing about artists from that era, from like 1999 to 2009, where there are like just hidden albums you can discover if you explore. It's almost like a video game from that era too, where there's like secret developer secrets. Like you just have to give a shit enough to look it up.
Right. TurboGrafx 16's mostly out there. Good ass
Yeah.
job kind of exists. There's lots of.
There's like 5 different Yandis that I found.
Yeah, I was gonna say Yandi's like the best wellspring for if you want like totally different versions of Jesus is
Yeah.
King.
Yeah.
Or instead of talking about like Jesus, he's talking about the law of attraction and how money ain't real and time ain't real and life is a game.
Yeah, I love that one.
That's
I've
just
heard
the
that.
best stuff.
I remember that was around the period where I really started, because it was like every time a new song would come out, people would totally rearrange the album and re-release it, and then they'd use different versions of the songs. There'd be like 20 different fucking versions of some of them. So, yeah, there's lots of people whose favorite Ye album is not an official Ye release, which I think is why the Stem Player made sense. But we'll get into that
Well, my
more
favorite
later.
Ye song is Hurricane, but it's not the official one from Donda
Right.
with The Weeknd's vocals. It's the one from 4 years ago with Ye's vocals. Not even the Ant Clemens one. but like the original one.
I feel like we're doing a little bit too much Ye talk this early on whenever we have a topic.
Albums.
So I'm going to go ahead and kick it off real quick with the TDE thing because I have been bitching and moaning and kvetching about this for years.
And to introduce why it's relevant,
of course.
Kendrick Lamar just left TDE. Officially, he's been stricken off there. He's totally gone.
Because of how the album went, or
supposedly people are saying it's because that they held on to his music for they just wouldn't let him release anything through the pandemic, pretty much. And
really?
So everything that he dropped on his new album is it's all like old material. Like all this material it's like old stuff intercut with new stuff, sort of explaining why the old stuff is being released now, in a way. You know, the album is really weird, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. I really do think it's two albums. Like, it is Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. And I like the Big Steppers. I don't care at all for Mr. Morale, which is all the pop songs. They all suck. All the ones that are just like weird jazz where he's talking about what's going on in his life, that stuff I thought was like a nice Kendrick Lamar update post, basically. Yeah. But I really do see it as like this is just me getting out all the stuff that I have under TDE that I think somebody might like, and some raps about what's going on with me, and then now I'm gonna do something like better.
Well, he needs a video for We Cry Together immediately.
So I'm gonna go ahead and say it like this.
Yeah, that one's great.
I have a gun in my home, and Punch is alive. So if I ever get to meet Top Dog and Punch, I will put a gun that I own in both of their mouths from stopping us from listening to beautiful art for years. There has been this very long-standing tradition in TDE where it comes to holding on to albums for years. I will bet cash that every single member on TDE has a completed album right now that they will not drop. Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers was ready to drop in 2020. That was whenever Kendrick Lamar said that all of the songs are completed. Everyone around him said all the songs are completed, so on and so forth. However, you also look at people like SZA, and you look at Schoolboy Q. SZA had gone on Twitter rant after Twitter rant after Twitter rant about how much her frustration has consumed her about her music not being able to drop. SZA just weeks ago, and today is June 18th, 2020, weeks ago, talked about, oh man, I can't release any music, I have so much good shit. Boom. The deluxe for Control drops in 2022. Are you fucking kidding me? Schoolboy Q just dropped Soccer Dad. His kid's old enough to be in fucking college by now.
You're right.
Like, they've been holding all of their music because Punch and Top Dog will not put it out. They are trying to control the release schedule, the release narrative, and all of that is based around if they're confident that another artist that is of equal caliber isn't going to drop at the same time without being confident that the artist that they have in their stable could beat out the equal caliber, which they can. You've all heard Drake's most recent album. Kendrick drowns it. Kendrick beats it to death with a stick. It's fucking crazy how much their talent has. What's the last Absol record you heard? What's the last?
I'm gonna listen to Honestly Nevermind way more than I'm gonna listen to Mr. Morale though.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's the same way.
But what's the last Absol album you've listened to? It was when you were in fucking high school. And he has more.
I agree with you. That's fucking crazy to think about.
I could fill an hour on this, dude. 1911 45 ACP handgun in my apartment right now. If Top Dog wants it, put it out.
You gotta do the Minecraft. Say you got like a Minecraft portal gun mod or some shit, like something that's not
in Minecraft. I will do this to you, Top Dog, and Punch in Minecraft. I will not do it in real life. Don't worry. I love all you guys. I know Top Dog got head from a crackhead and shit, but like whatever.
Yeah, I like Mr. Morale. It's better than any of the songs any of the albums that came out around it. And Big Dog was right.
I just want to personally
Big Dog.
disavow Bad Eater's statements about
Yeah.
putting guns in people's mouths because I don't want to fuck with those guys at all.
I do 100% put the albums out.
Fucking
Hard disavow, as if it wasn't as if I didn't need to say it.
I don't give a fuck. Put the albums. J-Rock. Last album, Redemption. Are you fucking kidding me? You fucking have J-Rock. Schoolboy Q never in his career should be a 3-year between album rapper.
I don't understand
Question, real quick. Do
Sorry.
you think that it could just be motivated by keeping albums there to release after these people have died?
No, I haven't thought about that. What are you talking about?
Because if they were going that route, they would just make them record way more. Like, it would.
Well, I know there's lots of artists who, if they don't do like certain TikToks and so that, they can't release stuff. Or there's lots of motives, obviously. Financially, to compete with competitors is a good one, like Kale said. But I know that there was like someone like Juice WRLD and XX. They were making so much music that they weren't allowed to release. And then they did die young. And now those companies are going to make a lot of money forever.
No, but I don't think
It would
any
just
of
be
that.
interesting if that changes sort of the market on, like with the pandemic, right? Why not release Kendrick's thing for like 2 years?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, no, I'll tell you exactly why. So, if we're talking about like,
He's gonna get COVID and die. That's the theory.
no, like if we're talking about any other artist's music, their music, like let's say Drake for example, Drake's music is gonna go up at clubs every time. Future gonna go up at clubs every time. Kendrick Lamar, play a Kendrick Lamar club at the song, watch liquor sales drop. Like you're not gonna fucking do a whole lot of money with that. So that's an album that you can drop during the pandemic that's going to achieve the goals of the artist during the pandemic because people are gonna be locked in listening to that and understanding and digesting and communicating through the internet about it. So whenever so for example, right? Whenever you look at fucking Juice WRLD and XXXTentacion, their music shot up after they died due to Prince effect. Like, it's just Michael Jackson shit. It's whenever you die, your name is going to be in the headlines. Shout out Mo3 in Dallas.
Well, I'm not talking
like,
about the
same
fame
thing
of
happened
people.
with
I'm
him.
talking about the...
But, go ahead, I'm so sorry.
I'm not talking about how much they sell, though, after they die. I'm just talking about, like, record labels might be more inspired to have things to release in the future in case something happens to you.
But I don't think they're betting on that. I genuinely don't think with people as young as Juice WRLD and XXXTentacion, they can't possibly be betting on
Kendrick,
that.
With Kendrick during a pandemic, for instance.
Okay.
That's what I think they could be betting on.
No.
Drake laughed at the idea of getting the vaccine. Like, you got these guys like at the top of their game and worth millions of dollars, but they're reckless. They're not like invested in health or whatever.
But they've been doing this before the pandemic. So there was like pictures that if you go to Top Dog's Anthony Tiffeth's Twitter account before the pandemic around 2018, 2019, you can see whiteboards that he was writing on that he posted pictures of detailing the outline of release schedule for all of the TDE members. Kendrick, his entire rollout, his entire career has been absolutely controlled. Everybody else on TDE has been absolutely controlled. That's why you have people like Schoolboy Q waiting 3 years per release. The last album we had from J-Rock was Redemption. Last album from Absol, if anybody can name it, I'll cash app you $5.
Hold on. Are any of them vaccinated?
None of them, turns out. I Googled it right now.
I think they're waiting for them all to die. That's when they're going to release their new music. That's what I'm saying. See, that's the conspiracy theory I have this week.
Yeah, you remember the lyric in
High Power.
Brothers. What's the other one? Family Ties, where Kendrick is like, I've been ducking the vaccine. That's all he said. That's the entire point of that part of the song, is that he hates the vaccine. I've been ducking the needles and heroin addicts. I've been ducking the vaccine.
I remember that part, yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of the song.
Yeah, and if you listen to High Power off
Kendrick
of Section
Lamar.
80, he straight up says, like, Top Dog's trying to kill me so he can cash in on my releases. Like, It's
Yeah,
been there
that's
the
what I
whole
think.
time. I don't even know why I have to explain it to anybody. It's clear.
Well, you're the one who
Yeah.
thinks that they're not doing that.
You right. I am wrong.
He just pivoted.
I'm telling you, they're trying to kill young artists. I think that somebody at the label hires you,
Suge Knight killed Tupac.
kills you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Suge Knight
So-
fucking
I'm saying
killed
lots of
Eazy-E
Dallas
with
rappers
AIDS.
get caught in traffic.
Knight almost killed.
Don't
Vanilla
say anything
Ice,
about
dangling
Mo3,
off
please.
a balcony.
It's a bad thing. It's a sad invocation.
You're right. Yeah,
not
it
a-
is.
not a
It
good
is.
one.
It's a wild
It's
thing.
unfortunate.
The
I'm
my
I've
man
been
got
texted
fucked
that I'm
up.
gonna die for saying that Suge Knight killed Tupac. Nah, there's a whole
No,
Yeah,
documentary
but
about that.
so TDE wasn't one of our only topics that we had here talking about album rollouts. We also wanted to talk about Drake's new rollout,
Yeah, the lack of one. The
Yeah.
Kamikaze Eminem style.
the
I think
Beyonce
it's
style.
smart.
First of all, the Death Grip style. I mean, you have all of these classic
He should have
albums.
released.
Go ahead.
He should have released one single so people knew the theme of the album and could take Molly before it dropped. Because the album dropped at midnight, and if you're gonna take your Molly at midnight, you're not gonna be high till like 1 in the morning. What, you're gonna fucking dance it till like 9 in the morning?
All the
It's
Molly
awkward,
I've
that
done
fucks up
has
your
had like
schedule.
secret amounts of meth in it, so I've
Yeah, that's good.
I've
That's
had
how, that's how
like
you know it's working.
I've had Molly that's been the same color as like yellow colored pencils.
Yeah, I've had meth. This album would be great on meth.
If we want to have a
mean,
drug
like,
conversation,
it's-
I remember I snorted fucking. It doesn't matter. Go ahead. My badge.
King shit. But this album is. I saw a viral tweet by Zach Fox that said this album is for people who can relate to staying up all night dancing on Molly that was mostly meth, and Earl Sweatshirt co-signed it, and that's my take also on the new Drake album. The rollout though, the problem with that, like I said, was just he should have told people what kind of music it would be, instead of letting them like stumble into 2 hours of oons music at
Yeah.
1 in the morning. That part doesn't make sense.
I don't know. 1 a.m. is like prime deep house hours.
Yeah, but you have to have been high already. They didn't know to get high.
You have to remember that Certified Lover Boy had "I'm Too Sexy for My Shirt" as a sample. Like, how did you not see this album coming?
This also, by the
that's
way,
true.
dropped 9 months after Certified Lover Boy.
Yeah, beautiful.
Because he was
Like,
pregnant.
can we go ahead and just take a moment real quick to say rest in peace, Virgil, because he designed that album cover, and 9 months later we got this beautiful, bad album of a baby, and it came from
Yeah, Virgil Abloh, rest in peace.
yeah,
Really
for
one of the
actually for
most
real.
Genius
rest in
people
power.
ever.
Dude, the
rest in
Off-White
power.
brand was fucking crazy. The Pyrex shit, his whole fashion, it doesn't matter. I don't
We'll
want
be
to get...
talking about him later, too.
Yeah,
'cause we
well-
stopped buying Louis bags.
Yeah, we'll jump into him whenever we talk about the album we're talking about. But keep going. I'm so sorry for interrupting.
Oh, who me? He
Yeah, Dave,
walked away.
specifically. Go ahead. Actually, no, Trixie. Hit.
Oh, yeah, so the whole midnight release thing, like, it was funny too because they called it a surprise release, but everybody knew about it all day leading up to it. Like, it was trending on Twitter, it was news articles. It's like, surprise release tonight. So there was a rollout in the sense that it was
Right.
known
There was, like, 7
slightly
hours of rollout.
beforehand.
Which is different than Kamikaze, because I remember being in Louisiana at midnight when Kamikaze came out, and then people started tweeting about it.
It's also different though, because I think he also did Music to Be Murdered By as a surprise, right? He just dropped it apropos of nothing, if I recall correctly. And
Seems like correct.
I mean, I
this
just
is-
I literally favor that way of getting into an album better, because oh man, and it's a matter of expectations. And if you have singles that can sell what your album actually is going to be, then singles are like whatever is fine. But I cannot stop thinking about Melt My Eyes, See Your Future, where the biggest problem with that album to me is more and more becoming like, wait, I was sold like a totally different album
Yeah.
based on these first 3 singles.
Yeah.
And then we get into it and like, it's a great album. I love the direction that it did go, but now Walk-In, Zatoichi, and Troubles even kind of just sound out of place.
I know exactly what you mean. And I thought I was getting that album when the first track was also that album. And then when you hit track 3 and it's not that album anymore, it feels really weird. That's a great example of, a rollout kind of feeling wonky in retrospect. It was a great rollout up until the album actually dropped, and it wasn't the album that I thought it was going to be. But yeah, like with all these, like everybody we just named who has done like the sudden drop, which would be like, Beyonce with Lemonade, Jay-Z with 444, Eminem, all of these, and Drake, these are billionaire, like, these are like some of the most famous people in the world. So like them doing anything is news. Like they would be trending on Twitter because they fucking tweeted something funny. Like they don't need an album rollout because it's the fact that it's their album will guarantee listenership. And honestly, like, I'm not somebody, I don't like Drake very much. There's not a Drake album I listen to regularly. There's not one I return to.
Really?
I could not complete Certified Lover Boy. My review of it was just making fun of one lyric.
No, but what did you think about if you're reading this as too late? Because personally, that's one of my top 15 albums.
I remember liking the only song I've ever really liked from him was "I've been running through the six with my woes."
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, that's from If You're Reading This It's Too Late.
Yeah,
that's like the only song I liked on there. There was like 2 or 3 songs I thought were okay.
I'm dead serious. If you re-listen to that album, if you re-listen to that album from the perspective of this is an up and coming rapper, it will, like, it's so fucking crazy because he takes the chances on that album that an up and coming rapper would take. Like the sampling that he uses on that range from like Sonic 06 to Donkey Kong 64 to like Donkey Kong Country 3. Like he does really weird shit on that album, and the whole thing is perfect hook after perfect hook after perfect feature. It's very interesting from the perspective of somebody who creates albums to listen to it, because it sounds like someone who had his fingers into everything from the mixing to the production to the writing. And that was also the album where you also had Quentin Miller's contributions through quote unquote ghostwriting, but it was him, reaching out for help, all that good stuff. But the whole album itself, genuinely, I would love for you to it's also my turn next time. At the end of this episode, everybody gets to hear what my album pick that we all have to listen to next week is. So who knows? Maybe this one.
It'd be interesting to return to, but like, I don't know. I always found
definitely have to cover that album on the show that we do.
Yep. I have always found Drake's voice annoying. I found most of his lyrics annoying, hard to connect with, and like just seemed like somebody I wouldn't want to hang out with, until he started doing more of the like soulful stuff in more recent years, like that one song, "Nice for What." That's probably my favorite Drake song I've heard. The first one that I was like, oh, I could actually listen to this like all the time and I won't get sick of it. Hotline Bling.
Worst Behavior by Drake is the best rap song.
I know how much you love that song.
I like the part in Degrassi where he gets in a wheelchair because he bullied a kid.
Look, fuck Degrassi. Worst Behavior is like the perfect rap song.
So I want to
encapsulates every part of rap.
Well, sort of where I'm going with talking about
that in the future.
Where I want to get to that is, Certified Lover Boy, when that came out, there was a lot of hype for it leading up to it. And it looked like, just from the way the cover art was and everything, I was like, I don't give a fuck at all. Like, it's going to be another super long album. It's going to be a big meme. It's just going to be like the same old bullshit, and I'm tired of it. And like, that was kind of the vibe I felt like that came off the criticism of the album. Was like, okay, we're like, this just isn't enough anymore, Drake. Like, we have 4 albums of this. Like,
it's just Scorpion, but longer and less.
Yeah. So, like, when we got to this one, like, the fact that it was a sudden drop from Drake made me curious, because I'm like, well, okay, if Drake is doing something different, then I am actually curious about what it is. And I listened to it at midnight, and I didn't hate the album. I thought it was pretty all right. That was like, it's a decent dance album. Drake songs are always a little unstructured for my taste, but he can, he's just got a natural knack for melody. So it's like everything he sings kind of just naturally sounds good.
My whole problem with that album was it felt like his delivery, every single song that wasn't a rap song, was very, very similar. So I'm a person that genuinely loves R&B music, and whenever I hear Drake dip his toes into that, Drake has a great voice. He has a great sense for rhythm. He has a great sense for tone and melody. But it genuinely, there was an Instagram video he put out years ago where he was recording part of his album from his bed. He had a microphone set up next to his pillow, and he had a producer in front of him making the beat while he was laying in bed recording it. And this whole album sounds like a 10, 12-hour session of just that specifically, provided for, Sticky and the track Sticky and one of the songs that had 21 Savage on it, the outro. So as someone who does enjoy R&B, it genuinely bothers me how little effort he put into it. Because let's say, for example, let's take a country artist that is a very accomplished country artist, someone who's put out phenomenal, groundbreaking country work that's like led the whole genre in country. Then all of a sudden they switch over to, techno. And then you have an album of techno from a country artist that sounds phoned in. There's a part of it that's offensive to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
So,
I agree with you.
There's another rollout style that I want to talk about that's very rare, because sometimes people will make like a whole feature film. Like Fantastic Negrito this year has like a what I would describe as a music movie where every song has a music video and they've all been compiled into one big long album music video.
Like Watsky did.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a method I'm a fan of. But there's one artist who has taken it to another motherfucking level with presenting their album in like
Chance?
a show format. No, I'm talking. Although I do like what Chance is doing with this rollout with like the painting in the background and like it's like stuff's being built around him.
Last 2 years too.
Yeah, but the text on screen is really cool. Doing like every single syllable
I'm excited
as he
to hear
says
what you're
it.
talking about.
But talking about Ye, of course, with the Donda fucking performances, the entire stage show that was used as a rollout for his last couple of albums.
Yeah, no, those shows really are their own albums too. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
the one with the technical problems is its own thing, but those Donda shows, the first ones, those were. I remember watching those in the one-bedroom apartment, like holding the phone above my head last year, and just like fucking, it's like midnight, and he's selling out ice hockey stadiums.
Yeah.
Fucking to listen to his rap music. There's 10,000 people watching the iTunes live stream until it breaks. And then he just like puts them up as albums. It's so cool. The listening event versions of songs are on the Donda Stem Player. And the way that the tech problems destroyed that last Donda 2 live show is really, really fucking unfortunate, dude. But we got that moment of Kanye throwing the mic.
That's one of the best.
Like that.
Well, I think it was the perfect encapsulation of the difference between Donda 1 and 2. It really is the manic high versus the manic low, or the depressive low, rather. Like,
yeah.
Because you got Donda, where it's like, he's fucking riding high, he's built his own village, he's got his family, and he feels strong. He feels strong in the presence of God, and he's just like, talking about his mama finally, and it's like everything that he's wanted to empty out coming out, and the rollout worked. Like all those Donda shows, yeah, everybody important was there. It was a huge fucking deal because it was the first time something like this has been done. Yeah, the Joe Rogan appearance was great. So like that was like height of Ye, and then his wife leaves him. And he's in this like emotional death spiral. I'm sure that all of the things that he is responsible for.
He lost his best friend and his spouse, as he says.
Yeah.
Not just Kim.
Well, I want to go ahead and point out real quick, anybody that's still listening to this show, from here on out is going to be a complete Kanye deep dive. Not only on Donda 2, but the rollout for it. Buckle up. We're getting in.
We're getting into the Ye because, he's the most interesting
influential all time.
He is the most influential and interesting artist alive right now, for sure. And his life is the art because he's so famous that everything he does is reported on and understood by the public. And so he doesn't even have like a clear sense of like, what do I need to tell you that you don't know? Like, other than just like my emotional stance on things you already are talking about, you know, like it's a fascinating place to be in as an artist. But I also am looking at it from the technical angle of like, when you're riding high and the money is good, yeah, you can put on all these successful shows. When you're emotionally devastated and your life's falling apart, but you still need to be an artist, you still need to get an album out, you still need to do a big release for it if you don't want to make significantly less money than last time and pay off all this shit that this empire you've built that you now have to make the same amount of money probably forever to maintain. It's not so easy. And like, He does one rollout performance this time, and it's like all the people are there, but it's so obvious that everyone who's a guest appearance on the album had no instructions of what to do. None of them had any fucking idea what this was. They're used to doing stage shows. They're not used to, I don't know, acting on a set while their music plays behind them. Some of them are kind of rapping along sometimes. Sometimes they're so off because what they're hearing in their headphones
was so awkward.
It's just like everything went wrong because it just clearly didn't have enough planning. And like the vision is great.
They have too many eyes on them, right? They couldn't have rehearsed it.
No, you're right. It's just like it was too.
It's actually prohibitive to be that successful sometimes.
Well, I want to
really
ask.
is.
I want to ask Trixie a question here. So, would you view what Kanye did financially for the rollout as part of the rollout, almost like a financial self-destruction, like where he was paying millions a day to be in that arena in Atlanta, like? It fits almost the theme of the album to just be blowing this much money to be. It's almost like a financial self-harm. Does that make sense?
As somebody who's committed financial self-harm before, yes, it does make sense. I think he needed to be able to prove that he could do what he just did again. Like, because I think in his mind, Donda was pretty much the apex of his career. That was the intent of it, is to be like, everything's perfect now, mama. I can write my album about you. And now he's on the flip side of that coin, and this is just like, I mean, we'll get into the album shortly, but it's like the most hollow, broken, fucking, like, devastated sounding album.
It's so unfortunate how the live event technical issues played out, because this is like, he did go past Donda. This is by far my favorite Kanye album. I romanticize My Beautiful Dark and Twisted Fantasy, but Donda 2 is, I think, his most personal and like best work. But it's because as we've talked about before, I really love the meta-narrative of the artist, and I think that what I like the most are songs that only someone could have written.
Yeah.
Like only Eminem could have made X song, or only X
Only
could have
Jay-Z
made
could have made the story of OJ, and it's,
right.
in my opinion, the most important rap
Something
song
that
of
I'm
the
still
2010s.
confused about
Just, like,
is
flat out.
What about the meta narrative should change the quality of that song? Because if you look at Kanye's music, I can find a song that instrumentally I'm not a fan of, vocally I'm not a fan of, and then whenever I speak to you about it and you explain it to me, it makes more sense. It makes me understand it more. So that's something that you understand that I don't. So I wanted to know more about your opinion on it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a good example of this on this album would be the song Sci-Fi, which isn't a particularly high concept or like hard song to have came up with or perform. It's simplistic, but it's the opening sample of Kim talking about him. It's the somber delivery of the fairly simplistic lyrics. Welcome to the sci-fi, oxygen or Wi-Fi. It hits Kanye. Yeah, is specifically good at this thing that he did with I Am a God, where the lyrics are really fucking like basic. And I remember people complaining about it. Like he thinks he's the best rapper ever. He rapping croissant with restaurant. Like that's not very good. And it's like, well, no, but he did it and you didn't.
Yeah, I would never be able to associate croissant with restaurant if I were to write a rap about that. Actually, for real.
Right, it was just interesting that he did that. Like, in a French-ass restaurant, hurry up with my damn croissant.
Yeah, I genuinely couldn't
really
from scratch
good
do
line.
that. That's fucking talent.
Yeah, but it's the effect sometimes Eminem gets hit with a lot of this, where he'll say something that's like really corny and dumb, but it's like, for whatever reason, this person's life story has led them to be able to write this thing.
Yeah, I got him passing out like what you would do when you hand someone flyers.
In a way, it's like he's doing the analysis video on the TV show that you've been watching from the perspective of the fucking star of the show, who's like an actual real human. Like the character you're watching is actually just a guy, and he's like telling you.
He's really good at saying these very specifically, not technically difficult things. Like if I just fucked this model and she got bleach on her asshole and I get bleach on my t-shirt, I'm gonna look like an asshole. It's like, yeah, you're right, but I wouldn't be in that situation.
No, yeah, exactly. I would have never. But that's also the thing too. Like, I mean, I'm sure this is something Vizzy can agree with me on. Like, whenever you hear something that you would consider corny bars, about, in my experience, 55% of the time, maybe even 65% of the time, anytime I hear something that's a corny bar, it's something that I would have never have thought of.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a very weird system.
Trixie gets me not corny but cringy. Like Trixie goes real cringecore with it.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll be like,
oh
my God,
goodness.
You said that?
I mean, you had her track where she started out with you know, I'm in a bad mood on this one, and then like straight up within the first 4 bars addresses the idea of cringe and going like, this isn't cringe, this is me. Like this is what you're listening to. And it's like but that's I don't know. We could go into a whole conversation about cringe in the future.
Shit in your brain, bitch. I'm fucking insane, bitch.
Yeah, but like that's something that like if I were to that's something like if I were to hear it from an artist where I don't know where they're coming from, I don't know who they are, I don't know what they represent, and I just hear those bars out of nowhere, yeah, it's kind of cringy, but I think that's the appeal of the meta narrative in a sense, is knowing who that artist is and that adding value to the line, which is what I wanted to ask you about.
I'll tell you,
like Drake saying he's a lesbian is corny and it is funny. Yeah, we should laugh at him. For that.
But Drake,
you know the meta narrative of it.
Drake is the only person that could do that. Also, Trixie, I heard you wanted to jump on in this conversation.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I want to credit my my cringe bars and the willingness to do them to like one part bizarre from D12 because like the stuff he says is legitimately like terrifying.
Couldn't get him off.
Yeah, like you hear it, and you're like, "What in the flying fuck? Like, how could you say that?" But then I feel like, well, how did I never have this? Like, I couldn't have. Like, how have I not thought something this fucked up before?
I have to jump in on this and say about Bizarre specifically. Oh my fucking god, that is the verse I show to people who don't like hip hop. Is his verse from my band, because that's the verse that I can just look at someone and explain exactly why it's good. So more specifically, the part like Superman video, I was in the back. You know, what was it? 8 Mile vid, I was in the back. 2 things that are just lies. It's him lying to you. And whenever you watch the music video, Superman vid, he is in the back in the video. They photoshopped him in and he's wearing a sports bra rubbing his titties. Like fucking in the 8 Mile vid, they Photoshop him in. He's wearing a white t-shirt, still rubbing his titties. Like the idea of cringecore, you can't take away the entertainment value of it. The idea of cringe at its very like bare essentials is then, just like thinking you're better than it, and like people like Bizarre and people like you like put yourself above it. I'm sorry, that was the end of my point. Go ahead. I'm so sorry.
Bizarre is one. He's on the more like violent, insane end of the spectrum of like crazy shit. He says like, you know, I'll lick your eyes out and shit on your brain. That's like more of a Bizarre line. But then there's the stuff like, I'll let you bust up in my caboose tonight, that everybody notes to me as like a verse that they're like, but it's the fact that when you want to rap along to me and you have to say that, that's the challenging part for people. But for me, and it's funny because I understand this even though I never felt that way, maybe because I've always low key, you know, known I would take dick. But like even before I actually was doing so, like I used to be a huge fan. Well, I still am, but a huge fan of Cakes Tequila's The Eulogy album, and that whole album is just nonstop power bottom bars. Like the very first line is, fellas pay my loans just to finger fuck my asshole is like the first bar on the whole album. And so he's constantly talking about like how he fucks, like he takes it in the ass constantly, but never for free. Like that is the theme of the album. And like, I just loved it cause he raps so goddamn well. So I was bumping it all the time. And then like, I got a friend into it, but he was like, I can't listen to this with the windows down in my car. Like I can't have people knowing I'm listening to this.
Flow. But he wasn't as gay.
Yeah, he should have been a lot more explosively
saying he should have been
gay.
even on the show.
So that reminds me so much of Danny Brown's.
And then Lil Nas X took over.
That was Danny Brown's first line on Triple X was, rep my set, sort of like Squidward with his clarinet. Where that's another example of the first line of your project or your career or the first thing anyone listens to, just setting that tone of just what you're going to be. And Cakes Tequila for you like, was that, right?
He yeah, for sure. But I mean, I grew up with like Eminem, Purple Pills. I can't describe the vibe I get when I drive by 6 people and 5 I hit. Like that's a line I've been saying since I was like 11, you know? So to me, it's like, that's just what rap is. You say really crazy, fucked up shit. Like that's
I gotta say crazier, more fucked up shit. Yeah. My shit. I'm too honest.
Eminem says the most, like, fucking in Forgot About Dre, he's, like, talking about how their bars are as hot as, like, a baby locked in the car when it's 95 degrees outside or whatever. It's fucked up.
I think there's also a progression you have to do as an Eminem fan. This is what I did, at least, where you, like, see him and then, like, either you go more for the technical rap side or you go more for the extremist lyric side. And so you could see people going towards, like fucking E40, who has like such great flow and flow control. And then the flip side of that is going to Cage, talking about a girl who has like a tattoo that says "Do not resuscitate" and her puking every time she comes and shit.
Holy shit.
Like I'll hook all y'all up, don't worry. But it's the Eminem, I know we're talking about rollout, but Eminem definitely is a litmus test for me to figure out like what direction Eminem sent you in. Like if he, I guess there's 3 ways. So there's shock rap way, technical rap way, and then there's corny rap way. And thankfully, everyone in this group chose the technical route. So we're all good. Rap. Shout out everybody.
Yeah. Way to go, us.
Yeah.
We're not Tom and
Hey, everybody pat yourself on the back.
Not even one of us is Tom McDonald.
I just got to give my flowers to Eminem, for the fact that he said, nowadays everybody want to talk like they got something to say and nothing comes out when they move their lips, just a bunch of gibberish and motherfuckers act like they forgot about Dre. And that tongue twister to learn as a child is why I can rap today.
Bass.
That's cool.
No.
We're going to get mint rapping that.
My favorite Dr. Dre lyric was written by Eminem, and I know I am the resident Eminem hater, and I am. That's not a joke. But my favorite Dr. Dre lyric was written about him. It's like, motherfuckers want to talk about guns like what? Like I ain't sold them all. So do you guys want to take a little bit of a break before we jump into the Ye album? We ran a little bit long on the first half.
Dave actually mixed this version that we're listening to, and you can listen to it in the link below. And let us know what you think of it. There will be a Google Drive there for as long as it stays up, I guess. I don't know how these things work. But Dave remixed Donda off of one of my 3 stem players because I am the biggest Kanye West stan of the group.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a bunch of like things to say about this album, but not so much of it is technical or valuable. It's it's mostly emotional.
Don't say that. It's valuable.
I'll throw that in throughout.
What are you talking about?
Well, sure, yeah, but not to like a review kind of thing. But Dave, on the other hand, has taken some amazing fucking notes while we've been hanging out and talking. So, like, I'll kind of provide the emotional, like, thing I think of the meta-narrative, and Dave will talk about the actual, like, song construction and such. Just saying, that's how we decided to split that up. Because sometimes we'll come in with, like, the same opinions on beats or something, and it's like, because we've been talking about it all week, and this seems cleaner, where we just split it.
Yeah.
Because again, we form our opinions hanging out.
That's the interesting dichotomy between us two as well, is like, me as part of the group, I kind of pride myself on being the fun fact guy. This was one of those albums that I felt like I could take a back seat on, because not only do I have Cranberry Dave, who has a fire up under his ass to like find out more and like deep dive and just really go into music, but also we have Vizzy, who genuinely is the biggest Kanye West fan that I've ever met in my entire life. So this is
Ye's a genius.
a nice little hammock episode for old Bad Eater. I get to hang out and listen to new information between several people who give way more than a shit than I do. Not necessarily saying that I don't give a shit, but there's a little bit of a gap here, if we're being honest.
Look, you probably don't even have 2 Donda Sim players.
I have 0. I have none.
That's so many less than I have.
I'm broke.
I think it's infinitely less, actually.
I shop
get
at
you a
5
Sim player.
below.
Do you want a stem player? I'll buy you a stem player.
Don't spend money on me, please.
Ugh, dork.
One
day.
I'll
I'm gonna fly
just,
you out here and
I'll
just
just buy
give
like
you a stem player.
I'll just buy like 15 copies of your album and put in the
Actually,
notes
real
for a
quick.
stem player.
Before we go to commercial over here, before we start jumping into
Yeah.
the Ye album, I don't actually think I heard anything that Cranberry Dave had to say about our previous topic.
Oh shit, Dave, talk.
About the rollouts?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Well, I did talk briefly while you were AFK, but I like more. I think my favorite kind of rollout is when they just drop the entire album, like a surprise release, I guess. When they put an album out just at midnight and everyone has to absorb it. I think where that can go wrong is with this Drake album. With this Drake album, I believe. Honestly, never mind. It's
Honestly.
and that's kind of how I feel. Like, I'm so exhausted of this album already, but I love it and I'll keep listening to it. But it's what Riley was saying earlier, where we're not prepared for it to be this. And so I'm like, it just sounds like, when some artists will send their stems to their songs to like 8 house producers and have them do like a remix project kind of thing. It just all sounds like remixes of old Drake songs over like cool, great, amazing fucking house like dance type beats. But like a single would have helped, or like a video coming out at least a week or 2 beforehand would have, I guess, eased the reception of it.
I don't think Drake was as confident in this album as he has been in other ones. I mean, for the most part, like, experimental doesn't mean death grips. Experimental doesn't mean clipping. Experimental means, like, trying something new that you haven't heard or done before. And for the most part, on this album, this was uniquely one of the most Drake albums. It was very spacey. You had very bass-driven drum beats. You had, somewhat of the same delivery on each song, but it was very much like how Drake addresses the topics he was speaking about. It's just, I still am a big fan of the Day Before album announcements. That forever will bump your album up 1 or 2 points for me, because I'm, your boy got autism, all that good stuff. Anticipation is difficult for me, but
yeah,
whenever I see something like Tyler, the Creator, a week before Call Me If You Get Lost comes out, starts posting pictures of his billboard on Twitter, and all of a sudden we're going fucking crazy. Like, if I find out you're going to drop an album 5 months beforehand, by the time it drops, there's going to be no event. I'm already going to have worked through my thoughts of finding out that you're doing it. And that's also...
And that's exactly how I feel about any given album that's pre-announced, is there is a 50-50... There's a 50% chance that I will just never listen to it.
Yeah.
Or I'll listen to it 2 years later when I'd lost track of it when it came out, but like, oh shit, that actually did happen, and I can go listen to it now.
Do you think that's more to do with them announcing it beforehand and you, like, over-anticipating it to the point where you're no longer interested, or that they're not able to control the release date close enough to it to understand what that release date would mean? So, like, to put that better is, like, let's say I have an album and I say June 17th, that's when the album's going to release. And then if you look at, me going, I'm going to hold it out until like June 14th, I go, okay, for sure I know 18th, no other bigger artists are dropping, no other things happening politically.
Yeah.
So I guess the simplified version of what I'm asking is like, do you think that's a rollout plan where, like, which one do you think's better? Announcing it 6-7 months beforehand where you have no control over the release, or figuring out a week beforehand where you like are able to gauge what it's going to do whenever it comes out?
I mean, I think that there should be like a happy medium, like maybe a month beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I had to pick, it would be the like immediately before, like knowing that you have the album ready to release and then releasing it and making press about it then once you have it done.
Yeah, I didn't mean to ask such a weird, confusing question, but
no worries.
I feel you. I also agree. I feel like it's somewhere in the middle. But while we're on this little plane of agreement here, fellas, why don't we go ahead and take a break?
Sounds amazing. I'll be back in a little bit.
Unfortunately, we're not going to have one of those experts. Thankfully, though, we still have Trixie. I want to know what you have to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Donda 2 is not an album you could technically just listen to, because there is no solid form of it that exists. It was released through a stem player, and the stem player has all the stems of the album, and like you could, default just put them all to full volume, but is that technically the right way to listen to it? You could also turn down each different part of the song, each component, or turn it up. Mix it however you think is appropriate. Cut the vocals where you don't think they should have been. Cut the beat where you don't think it should have been. Listen to it however you want. Mix it however you want. And so, in order to have one consistent version of the album for us to review, Cranberry Dave went and did his own mix of the whole thing. How different is this from what you would consider to be a standard Donda 2, Dave?
And before you even answer that, I want to ask, what was the inspiration for you to create your own mix?
I mean, it was basically what Trixie explained. We needed a cut for the album, and plus, like I think I discussed with you earlier off air, I just am more and more loving the idea of deep diving into music, into albums, and the Donda 2 being in a form that I can put into my DAW and mix has made me understand it better than I understand, most other albums, period. So that's been a huge upside of getting to do my own mix. And then, plus, it doesn't sound very good, Lamau, in its natural state. It's just... here's what happened with Donda 2. It's unfinished, but it's the type of unfinished where half of the songs are done or very close to done, and then the other ones are still like they're not done at all. They belong on the drawing room floor, cutting room floor, whatever, drawing room, cutting room, whatever.
So before we go ahead and dive into the album, I know we have the link to the Google Doc telling you what the album order is. I'm going to go ahead and tell you what direction we listen to the album from front to back, just to kind of start us out, and then we're going to go along those lines. Is everyone okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So starting off at number 1, True Love, Broken Road, Get Lost, Too Easy, Flowers, Security, We Did It Kid, Pablo, Louis Bags, Happy, Sci-Fi, Selfish, Lord Lift Me Up, City of Gods, First Time, and finally Easy. That's the album order that we listened to it in, and that's how we're going to review it today.
And I'll tell you, like, I've heard this album in various orders. I've heard, the organization that it comes naturally on the stem player as uploaded to people by, like, on SoundCloud and stuff. I've heard tons of different arrangements of it that existed before that. I had heard the original live performance, and, like, all of those were different organizations. But this is the first one that made sense to me, where it actually had narrative flow and I felt like it was a concept album as opposed to just like a bunch of songs about shit going on in Ye's life at the moment, which is a concept album in its own way, but here it's coherent, and that is what really made it click for me. So I'm curious, Dave, if that was like part of your goal.
But even before he says that, I want to go ahead and throw out, I only listened to this album in Dave's mix format, specifically so not only I could participate in this podcast, but I think one of the cool things about this album is it's very much in the eye of the beholder. It's just whichever version of it affects you in a certain way is the real version to you. It's very interesting. Dave, go ahead and hit up Trixie's question. I'm sorry.
The order was really just it was the order I worked on them in, and then I guess that they were on the stem player when I ripped it, but actually no, hold on. I did make a couple little tweaks. I don't think Get Lost was track 3. I think it was 2, but I just think True Love and Broken Road flow very well together. Other than that, like I obviously it all being mixed by me, and I did a lot of I guess my biggest fingerprint on this album was the levels of each stem, and you know, just a little bit EQ, but mostly the levels. I tried to make everything kind of sound like it was even supposed to be on the same album, which is hard because, like I said, half of them are just totally unfinished, and so they're either like way too loud or too quiet, or some parts are just fused into stems weird, and so you'll have like, you know, some really quiet hi-hats and just the loudest like key sounds you'll ever hear in your life on the same track. And that was a challenge, but
Yeah, so anything that like I had noticed being weird about the production when I had listened to it before was not weird about this version, for sure. So like your version sounds like a proper album that could have just existed. It's funny that there's not somebody that, I don't know, I mean, maybe Ye just literally doesn't care to like release a version that is proper or whatever, you know, like maybe that's the version that sounds right to him that's on the stem player. It's really hard to think of like why this took you like to realize, other than that maybe you're the only one who could have done it. I don't know.
Well, it's also partially fueled by my frustration that there isn't an actual definitive version out there. I spent a lot of time before, like, because when Riley first suggested that I do this, I'm like, yeah, why would I go through the trouble of mixing this gigantic like hour-long LP when I could just go on the internet and find one that sounds close enough to what's on the stem player? And turns out there is just nothing that sounds even close. Not at all. There are several tracks that you cannot find, especially on YouTube and SoundCloud, without a bunch of like backing instrumental stuff. Like Get Lost is just Kanye presumably talking over a vocoder for like 2.5 minutes, doing some fairly melodic stuff, but it's just him talking.
Well, we're gonna get into the track Get Lost here in a second, but we have to start at the start of the album.
Sorry, I keep doing that.
No. Don't sweat it. Cut this out. You're doing great. Listen.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and kick it off real quick. I want to know Dave's true thoughts on True Love.
Oh. First of all, I'm almost positive that Kanye used the drum loop from Runaway on this song. I didn't like go in and match them up, but I immediately recognized it and then listened to Runaway, and I'm like, yeah, that's just the exact same loop. Interesting callback to sample yourself, but if anyone would do that, it's Kanye. I mean, obviously it's got a hook by X, Rest in Power, and Kanye's verse is just heartbreaking.
The X hook on here the true love shouldn't be this complicated. I thought I'd die in your arms. Aside from the fact that it's gorgeous, highly relatable. This is the song that now plays in my head, this hook, when I'm, anytime I'm struggling with anybody I love, pretty much. Like, true love shouldn't be this complicated. Like, when you're feeling on the outs with somebody and you're like, oh man, like, is this going to be the end when, like, I literally thought I would die in your arms? And, like, we all know that in the case of Ye, he just lost his wife with 4 children, like, it's the most devastating, the most devastating lyric that could be connected to a situation. And he took it from, a dead kid who sang it. It's pretty fucking harrowing emotionally, and like starting the album here is like really puts it into the right perspective of like how dark and hollow this experience is,
So I didn't
and X beat his girlfriend.
Yeah,
that's a complicated part of love.
I mean, that was also something I was going to say whenever Mr. Cranberry Dave said "Rest in Power." Personally, I'm not a huge fan of XXX Tentacion based on what he did to his girlfriend.
I love him.
Sure.
I don't care.
No, yeah, for sure. Bitch eater. I feel
now
you.
I'm the heel.
I get you. Yeah, you're right. All right, now I'm on the positive side. Nah, fuck him. No, but that's what's beautiful about Kanye's music. I think is whenever I listen to it and I speak to somebody else, it's so emotional that I don't even recognize another avenue I could take it until I hear someone's emotional take on it. And you just fucking hit me like a 18-wheeler, I guess, straight to my chest.
I'll give you straight up Trixie lore right now, because the first time I heard Donda 2 in full from the stem player was we were driving out to the WATP live show. And at that show, I got really drunk, and I was I did knock over a table on accident and broke some stuff.
Based.
And then I was upset.
True.
I was upset because Bird kept giving me shit about it, like, don't break another table. And I did not slap. Somebody said we had a slap fight. I don't know. I don't remember anything
Vic
like that.
said it on WATP.
Was that on the show? She said that? I didn't even realize that was on the show that she said that.
That's official lore now.
Okay, well, apparently me and Bird had a slap fight.
Hey, Trixie, let me just tell you right now, I'll treat you way better. Don't even worry. We will never have a slap fight in our entire relationship.
That boxing match might actually happen.
Yeah, me and Bird, we'll square up. Don't sweat it.
To kick your ass now. But,
what's that? No, he won't.
But anyway, so we were... I was just like way too drunk. Like it was It was a situation where I was like beyond, because the show was fucking hilarious. So I ordered like 7 mimosas. Like I was fucking gone by the end of the show, and like I had a great time hanging out with Vic initially afterwards, and then another girl who I don't know if she's a public figure, but I was talking to her for a while, and then we finally got to where the comedy show was, and it was just that like. It was just that Bird said something about like the knocking over the tables, and I had a moment of realization that I was like too drunk to react like quietly. So I just walked off, and I found out that behind the place, the place we were at, was a under construction building that was like 5 stories up, and you could just walk right in because it didn't have walls yet.
See, there's perks to doing things you're not supposed to do.
Yeah, so I go to hang out in this building, and I'm just kind of like. I'm really frustrated with myself for being so drunk, so I'm just like kind of, like thrashing around in this abandoned building thinking, true love shouldn't be this complicated. I thought I'd die in your arms. And like, because I couldn't get the song out of my head, I couldn't go back. I was like, I can't be calm until I stop thinking about X Tentacion now.
Okay.
If we had a slap fight, it was probably on the way back to the car when he was upset that I had done all that. I don't think there was any slapping, though.
Earlier in the show, no, it was like you were slapping him after the live show. Yeah. He was giving you shit about the table.
It doesn't matter who was slapping who. Funny. The only question I have right now, I need to picture it. What was Trixie wearing? Were you wearing that big fucking floppy witch hat you wear sometimes?
Oh,
You
I
were
was
wearing a different one.
I was wearing a big floppy hat, but it was a sun hat and my
Yeah.
red dress. Pretty much the
It's
same
in
thing
my
I wore in
vlog.
the
On the
Yeah.
ASC Presents channel, I've got a vlog of us going there.
Please check it out.
So-
If you hear this, go ahead and look into that. We also have a second track on this album that we got to talk
I
about.
wish I had caught them slap fighting.
I mean, that
'Cause
would have been a
the
pretty
best part.
good
If I could
fight.
get Trixie slapping Bird, that would have been great.
Trixie, if you need someone to help you out with the slap fight, doesn't matter. Look, number 2, we got Broken Road. Like always,
Broken
like
Road.
tradition, we're going to start out with Dave's take. I want to get Dave's take first on all of these because he was the one who mixed it. I want to know why he put what where.
I mean, I think Broken Road is just so good and so much of a Kanye song that it really like it just sounds like it belongs on any. It would have belonged on Donda 1, I think. Don Toliver's fucking just flawless on it. I didn't have to do much on this except for just a little bit of de-essing on Ye's vocal.
So I kind of want to talk about this like in combination, like 1, 2, and 3, the first 3 tracks on here as like an arc, because this is not the track order that I remember hearing this album in. But is it right, Cranberry? Am I correct? This is not the
It is
same...
the official track list, but I don't think it's the same one as that original live premiere track list.
Okay.
The live show.
But this is the same order of songs as the stem play.
It's
I think
Interesting.
Yeah.
I had thought you had changed it, but I guess not.
I thought I did too, but if
it's True Love,
what Vizzy
Broken
is,
Road, Get Lost, Too Easy, Flowers, Security, We Did It, Kid, Pablo, Louis Bags, Happy, Sci-Fi, Selfish, Lord Lift Me Up, City of Gods, First Time in a Long Time, and Easy. Is that
Well, shit.
that's
Yeah.
true. I thought I had swapped Broken Road and Get Lost for some reason. That's just on me.
okay? Cool.
Well, so I guess I just didn't appreciate then. Maybe
It's a really short song. I missed
How-
it the first time I listened to the whole album. I thought it was part of Get Lost. Like, I didn't know there were 2 songs there. I thought this was
Yeah.
the start of Get Lost.
basically this first arc of the album to me is like Ye at the most blown out, bottomed out, and alone that he's like ever been. And there's nothing
Yeah.
fun about it. There's nothing like empowering like on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. There's no like there's just nothing to get him through. Like God's not on his side, his wife's not on his side, nothing's on his side. It's just broken and hopeless. And like it's really like that for the whole first 3 songs. And then like track 4, I believe is the one he's not even on, right? Or I'm thinking of We Did It Kid. One of there's like 1 or 2 songs on here that's like
I think
mostly
Too Easy
feature
is
heavy.
also oh fuck, is that a feature? I know it doesn't at all sound like Ye.
Oh, is it just him doing? Oh no, I'm thinking of the wrong song. Too Easy is where we start launching into the next. So I see it as like the first arc is him being like emotionally broken. Too Easy is this song where he's like trying
I
to
need you to love me.
come back. Yeah, he's like trying to make a comeback, and like at first he's trying to just say, "Oh, fuck all that. I don't actually need you." And then in the second half it's like, "Actually no, I really really need you and I can't do anything about it." Like it's just so desperate. And then like
Yeah.
you kind of feel like his friends are as the features start coming in, like his friends are coming to try to cheer him up and like help him out, but like it just doesn't work. Like nothing works. This whole album is like him taking different drugs that don't work. Nothing
Yeah.
brings her back. You
Well,
know?
Too Easy specifically addresses this album cycle, and yeah. Did you have any thoughts on Get Lost?
Yeah, I like the vocoder effect. The whole, you were saying that if you listen to this,
I still get lost tonight.
That
It's one of my favorite songs on the thing.
you mentioned to me that if you listen to this on acid, it sounds like he's just talking, and like I do think there's a layer that he is just talking, and then like all the other stuff that surrounds you, I have to imagine when you're on acid would just sound like the room, like it would just.
Well, I mean that's
become
how
the
a
room you're in.
vocoder works.
Yeah, it's just creating
It's-
different layers
it's-
that are slightly different from each other, right?
Well,
Yeah.
no. What you do is you take, you know how in like Photoshop or Premiere you have like different blend options. You're just switching the blend option so that the vocal is like burned into whatever music is under it.
Okay.
So if you're playing keys, it sounds like And there's a ton of like YouTube poops or whatever where they
Sure.
do this with like Family Guy clips and
Yeah.
stuff where it just sounds like, oh, Family Guy, but it's Astro World or whatever.
Yeah.
So I imagine that it is just him talking on a beat, and the melody and everything else was added in later.
Interesting. I don't even. Well, there's not even a beat on this version of Get Lost, right? It's like just the.
Yeah, it's just the vocoder. As far as I can tell, I prefer it without anything in the background. It just it feels like how it was meant to be heard.
Yeah.
And there's not an unofficial version that I found that didn't have a backing track, and that made me upset. It's good, but it's not a song that I think I'd ever make.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, there's no hip hop beat.
Yeah.
I don't know. At the very end, when he says, "When do I cross your mind?" And then like 3 bars later, he says, "Do I still cross your mind? If not, then never mind.
That is the best part.
If not, then never mind."
Yeah.
That's just what gets me.
That's the most hopelessly fucking, like, again, he knows it's over. Like, I guess when I first heard this and I heard all the bars about, like, I could still kick Pete Davidson's ass, I thought he was still in the mindset of, like, I'm gonna get her back, guys. I'm gonna get her back. When you actually listen to this whole album, he does not think he's getting her back. It's little fantasies he's entertaining, but, like...
But he knows who he is. Again, he wrote Runaway. Like, he knows what he's doing. He was wrong about Wouldn't Leave. But he was right about pretty much everything else he thought about his future.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He thought this would happen to him. He thought this is where he would end up. I want to marry a porn star. Like, he manifested everything he ever wanted.
Yeah.
Like a Twilight Zone episode. And, you know, that's not a good thing, probably always.
No.
So, I mean, like, Flowers is really good. Like, bad title. I was talking to Dave earlier about how, like, it should be called, like, Set Me Free or fucking Finna Change Right Now or something.
Change, yeah.
Your life finna change right now.
Because there's like 3 or 4 different really catchy hook type things in that song, and they're just not addressed. Like Flowers, that's
Look,
like
Kanye just is bad at naming stuff.
Yeah.
I think he doesn't have a great naming.
Same with Too Easy, because there's already a song on this album called Easy with a Z,
right.
but the drive of Too Easy is I Ain't Even Gonna Love Me. Like, that's the catchy idea to me.
Right. Yeah, that's a real problem I have with that one song on this project, is that it shouldn't be called Flower. Dave and I often talk about it, and I don't think I've mentioned it on the podcast yet, and it's a music podcast, so I can mention it. Every time it comes up, I make a really big deal out of how the song, Hey, What's Up? The lyrics are what's going on, not what's up.
Yeah, at no point during that song is it ever the phrase
say,
"What's up?"
Hey, what's up? It's what's going on, but this is called Hey, What's Up? And that's
frustrating.
That fucking
Speaking
hurts
of
me.
frustration and irritation, specifically with the song Flowers,
Yes.
this is the first time on Donda 2 that Kanye straight up just puts 4 stems worth of music across 2 out of the 4 stems.
That's true. He does that on the
He does that. There's like
It
there's
has
like
to be,
a
super
little
purposeful, though,
Oh
right?
yeah, it is I have a
Okay.
we'll talk about it when we get to sci-fi because I have some theories about sci-fi. But
Sure.
Flowers, it's like I think Kanye's vocals are on the same track as the bass, and then stem 3 is just a hi-hat loop that is used for like the last 30 seconds. And then there's like some synth stabs on 4, but everything else is on stem 2, which is like the really, really loud, like electronic, like trashy synth keys, the arpeggio, I don't know. And all the ambience and Set Me Free and stuff. That's all on, it's a mess. Other than the poor allocation though, other than the allocation though, it was pretty well mixed when I got it. Mostly just had to deal with some levels and some EQ, and I mean making sure that that things didn't get pushed down when other things went up. Kind of.
So one of the questions I have right now is every single Kanye West album from the beginning of his career to now has shifted the way hip hop has been made. And that's something that even people who don't like Kanye can admit, is his influence is so undeniable. I wanted to ask, on this album, what's an influence you think that he's created that we're going to see a lot more of from modern artists?
I think we're going to see a lot more bit crushing. Because this album, unlike TurboGrafx-16, came out and exists in some capacity. And on TurboGrafx-16, as the name might suggest, was all like bleep bloops and shit. And there's on Too Easy especially, it really sounds like a continuation of that, with the hi-hats and snare just being run through an 8-bit sampler. Flowers has, like I mentioned earlier, like the classic, very loud, very almost sounds like a toy xylophone if you put it through a guitar amp type thing. That, and then we'll get to some other examples here coming up. But the bit crushing, just the 8-bit sound, I think is gonna come back hard.
Dude, I think it's the thing itself. I think the stem player, the releasing music with the focus on having other people control their listening experience of your music is the influence that he's setting up now. It might take securing some other artists that are not him for big releases, like say Travis Scott's having trouble getting Utopia out because, all that bad stuff that happened at his show. Then maybe he has to release it through Ye's thing. That'd be dope. I
mean, Ye already did Tidal, didn't he?
Everyone has had some run on Tidal or Thule. Everyone's tried, but Ye's thing is again more specifically about giving fans here's all the beats, here's all the vocals. You can remix it, you can do whatever with it. I do really think he's aiming for more of a paradigm shift in the audience and relationship with the music, so that it's not a commodity, it's not something you buy, but it's a hobby again, it's something you engage with actively. Music needs to be more like a video game and less I wouldn't even say a movie. It's right now it's more like an advertisement for an artist's show or something.
Yeah.
Or you walk around, you hear ads over the speakers at a gas station or a grocery store, and you hear the new Doja Cat or Travis Scott song.
Right, something. Or you just see them on social media doing ads, or
whereas
their social media presence itself is an ad.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Whereas Ye's giving us a platform with which to engage in the music that we listen to.
Well,
that's why I invested in it so heavily.
Let's go ahead and look on to the next song. Who's got anything to say about that?
What do you think of the next track, Dave?
I think We Did It Kid is all right.
It's We Did It Kid?
I think so. Oh, fuck, it's Security. No, that was my fuck up. Notes are out
Look,
of order.
I obviously am very intimately familiar with this fucking album.
Let me put it like this.
I spent $600 on it.
The reason I said, what's the next track, who wants to say something about it, is because I was in the other room making some other personal business happen, and I didn't know which track we were on.
I see.
That's funny. Well, we'll just cut that part out.
Nah, fuck it. Keep it. Tell us, Dave, what do you think?
I love Security. I love this song so much. Everything about it is...
No, You Can't Be on My Mama album.
Yeah. And then we get into the evil fucking hard, sinister strings. The da-da. And then he comes in with doing a little da-da himself. And that I think grabbed me from the minute I first heard it. But... Again, an example of Ye here, just doing stems fucking wacky. He made 4 stems, and I think only 3 of them are used, and 2 of them are the same instrument. Just one has a low pass filter over it, which I'm perplexed by the choice to double up the bass in an already bass heavy track. So I had to do a pretty steep fucking high pass on one of said the track with more muffled low mids and bass. I had to high pass it so it didn't just totally overwhelm your brains with low end rumble.
See, what you're saying is Ye is bad at this.
No, what I'm saying is Ye made this song in like 50 minutes and then didn't look back.
Oh no.
And then
probably.
That's how I feel. This is not my favorite type of Ye song. It's very Life of Pablo to me, which is where like he had a really strong idea for a beat and then like just went for it and then didn't like go back to it, revisit it, like do anything extra, make it into like a song, you know. Everything that's there is good, just doesn't go the distance, you know.
All of the lyrics, very Jesus.
He's very fucking punchy.
I guess you
like,
could say that it did not have the legs to go the distance.
You can say that. Next up is We Did It, Kid.
Oh yeah, We Did It, Kid. It's just totally fucking average and not memorable, terribly. It just doesn't seem like a Kanye song as much as it seems like a Migos song with Baby Keem on it.
That's true.
But well, okay, it seems like a
Good
Kanye
take.
song in the worst way,
Sure.
in that all of the swears are censored, and the Migos nor Baby Keem got the memo that this is a no swearing album, or they did, or they don't care. And
I
they
wish
don't
more
care.
people approached it like how NF collaborators do, where they just decide not to curse this time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fucking for the fuck of it. Fucking stop fucking
Or
cursing.
like this beat sounds like it was one of the like the first passes at making the Industry Baby beat.
Yeah, that's this and never mind. Sorry.
This song, like you said, it's a bunch of features. Narratively, I'm interested in this part of the album because, as I'd been saying, you know, it starts off really dark and dismal, then it feels like it goes into like a self-assurance attempt for a while that's not working, and then you've got like a song where he's not even like on it, and then a song that's like, "Who are you waiting on?" Pablo.
Yeah. Well,
like
it's
I'm
four
not
songs
here.
of Cope
I'm
in a
gone.
row, right?
Yeah.
It's We Did It, Kid, Pablo, Louis Bags, and then Happy. Where at the end he's like, "Do I look happy to you?"
Yeah.
But it's like that 4-song like fake come up.
Yeah.
Where he's like, "Oh yeah, look at me, I'm doing better now after the sadness of the first 6 songs." But nope. The back half is sadder.
Yeah, and just the fact that like, because it's a song that he's not on, and then a song that like the song Pablo, to me, he doesn't feel like he's on it. Like he deliberately doesn't sound like he's doing such a weird
it's
yelpy.
Just like an ad-lib, like.
Yeah, it's just punch-ins, and like to me, when I heard this song, my immediate impression was that this was made to be played between songs, and that's how it was used during. Yeah, it was
the live thing, right?
Yeah, and like it was actually
an hour late.
Yeah, and like every time
they
would.
Who they waiting on?
They played it for like that whole hour.
Well, not only that, every time
over.
there were technical issues, it would come on again. Like
Yup.
it was the interstitial song, but it like I've been to a lot of live shows, and they, you know, in between sets, they just turn on the PA and play songs, and it's always shit that sounds like this 100% of the time. It doesn't even matter what genre, unless it's like a heavy metal show where they might play some heavy metal. But like even then, sometimes it'll just be exactly this sound. And so as soon as I heard it, I just understood it in such a primal way that I was like, wow, this song will last forever. You could play this between any set, anywhere in the world. It'll always make sense, but especially at any Ye concert. You could always intro with Who You Waiting On? That's Pablo. And it's catchy as fuck.
Yeah.
It's immediate.
It's literally the song I had to do the least work on. I opened it up.
Too.
Yeah, I opened it up, did a tiny bit of EQ. And
The
then
thing
mostly
about that
just
song
tweaked the
too,
levels.
It's interesting because it seems like Ye reflecting on himself. Like he's looking back at his album The Life of Pablo, and there was a period where he identified as Pablo Picasso.
Yeah.
And
well,
it's interesting. The point I'm trying to make, it's interesting at least to see him today after an album like Jesus is King, either referencing back to that or this being a leftover from that. Does that make sense?
See, I disagree entirely. My read is that Kanye literally identifies more with the Apostle Paul today than he did when he made Life of Pablo.
Interesting.
Because, in case you don't know, the Apostle Paul started his life as, like, a very well-esteemed Jewish rabbi. Like, fucking top of his class, contemporary of Christ, and was, like basically, I don't know, imagine if the Secretary of State of the, of America just kind of left to go start a micronation. That's what Paul did. He renounced Judaism, started following Christ, and just spent the rest of his life couch surfing and building churches across like Asia Minor and Europe. And so I think he talks elsewhere on the album about couch surfing and stuff like that.
Only millionaires sleeping on the couch. Or only billionaires sleeping on the couch.
Right, only billionaires sleeping on the couch. Or, like, he's at this point in his life where he's able to revisit the Pablo motif. Pablo, I didn't explain it very well, but Pablo is the Spanish name of Paul, St. Paul.
I see.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. Again, I think what's interesting to me about it is that he's still going back to this thing that was a pivotal identity.
We have to note that Pablo was always meant to be like all of the Pablos, like Pablo Escobar, Pablo Picasso, like any Pablo that's as popular as he is.
Yeah, he's just one of the greats.
Yeah,
that's what he's saying.
He's a JoJo.
Yeah.
He's a JoJo. He's being reincarnated through
Well, I think it's another example of being one of the Mikes as well. The Michael Jordan, the Michael Jackson. Like, there's no other person named Kanye. So if he's going to lump himself into anyone, it's going to be the Pauls, the Pablos, and the Michaels, you know?
Yeah, 5 mics.
Well, we got another song after that, turns out, and it's called We Did It, Kid.
What?
Oh,
no, it's not. It's called Louis Bags, motherfucker.
It's called We Already Did That, Kid.
Yeah.
This song is called Please Stop Advertising for a Company That My Dead Best Friend Is No Longer the VP of.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
If you stop doing that, I'll let you talk to me.
Yeah.
It's called Louis Bags.
Yes, you can be on my mama album if you stop buying Louis Bags.
The only person allowed on my mama's album is Virgil. Again, anybody listening, Louis Bags, we're going to talk about it. It's all happening. What do you feel about Louis Bags, fellas?
Louis Bags is the song.
Beautiful.
Louis Bags is the song that I had that needed the most work, but because of the way that the stems were organized, it allowed the least work to be done. It's so, like, basically the entire song is just clipping. Even Jack Harlow's bits, which are a little quieter, like, I had to...
This is not a real addition to the album. Like, Ye saw the Nail Tech video. He shouted out Louis Bags in that. Ye made an Instagram post and then flew Jack Harlow to Florida, and they released this so that Jack Harlow could stop talking about Louis Bags.
Yeah, this was
like,
made literally last
song.
minute.
I don't know what to call this. Statements?
Neither do I. It's.
I mean, he does this a lot.
Opposite of an ad?
It's what billionaires do when they really need to launch the biggest ad campaign against another corporation they can.
Right.
Like,
yeah, it's like the opposite of an ad. It's like,
yeah.
He didn't recommend a different brand. He just said that he and his friends have stopped buying Louis Bags after Virgil passed.
It's a lot like how Pusha T, whenever he said the bust down cardio, that's just not my thing. And then you catch him on Drink Champs, and Nori was saying, yeah, the second you said that, I tried to sell my bust down Cartier.
Yeah. No, you can really change the culture in the opposite way. People are too focused on advertising. You can totally destroy a brand by just being like, this isn't cool anymore. And I don't know. We'll see if Louis damaged at all by Ye not being a fan of it. But obviously, Ye, Drake, and Virgil have a lot to do with Louis' reputation.
Right.
And all of fashion's reputation currently. So we'll see. At least Drake and Ye have put their beef aside now that Virgil's passed.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
Well,
Because Virgil got that paddock on his wrist. You got to understand how connected all these people are.
This
Go ahead,
fucking
Trixie.
song. So I've gotten used to. There was a remix of this on SoundCloud that kept auto playing after my own songs. That's like a super fast '90s jungle amen break, like techno remix of the song that I really like. The original it's okay. I mean, he is just kind of mumbling through, and my impression is it's meant to be oh, I just feel so strong. I don't even know what to say, But like you said, it does come off more as an anti-ad for Louis, and then with the Jack Harlow doing a whole verse that's just so.
Well, and that verse made me so hyped up for that Jack Harlow album that didn't deliver.
I thought this verse was okay until I got to "Too Bad I'm a Winner" fall over, and I shut the song off.
I'd write that.
He didn't even deliver it like he was saying winter. Too bad I'm a winner,
that's the
fall
problem.
over. He just says, too bad I'm a winner, fall over. And I'm like, what the fuck? You didn't even slant rhyme it. Come on.
I know.
And I couldn't even remember this bar. I had to go back and look up what was the bar that frustrated me, which is how I know it's bad. Because if it was memorable, it would be different. But
no, I get you.
Well, I'll tell you what I get. That's being happy. That's the next track.
Because
Oh,
I'm
Shit,
happy.
next track.
You might have been misled by the title of this track. It's not terribly happy.
Oh no,
You
you don't say.
Does it sound happy to you?
I mean, that bar, I can't even remember any other part of the song because that is just so striking and intense. Do I look happy to you? It's just okay. No,
you don't, dude.
No one has
the
ever
song-
looked less happy.
Matter of fact, you look uneasy.
Yeah. I think this might have been
mean-
the one where he was throwing his mic into the ground and shit too during the live show. That's certainly the image I have of this song, of him saying that, is that
Yeah,
moment.
he's just freaking the fuck out.
It's my beautiful dark and twisted fantasy. It's the same vibes of this isn't good. This isn't awesome.
Yeah.
Help.
But it's even
But
without the
it's what you wanted, so
it's even without the glamour of that though, because at least that album was trying to be sexy, and this one's
Sure,
not.
it's a
This is
fantasy.
sexless. This is technically incel music. He can't fuck the girl he wants to fuck. I mean, he is fucking
Isn't
other
that
girls.
crazy?
I
Well,
think he's
back to
fucking other girls on
Flowers,
the
yeah.
album, but
Back to Flowers, he's talking about how this girl, who we now know is Julia Fox, didn't really want to fuck with him because she didn't want to have fucked with him, and his kind of take is I could change your life though. I'm changing your life. Imagine I am a flex. Imagine your ex face when he finds out. And it seems like that song is coming from a place of a woman being ashamed to be with him because he's gay, and because he would have so much press and so much to deal with because of that. And I mean, Julia Fox dated him for a month, and then moved on and started her own career.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Via,
she dated him
appearances
for
online.
Also, shout out Julia Fox, her PTSD art exhibit and her RIP Julia Fox art exhibit in the mid 2010s were genuinely fucking creepy.
Yeah?
Yeah, oh my god, dude! If you get the chance, look up Julia Fox PTSD and then just click Google Images, and it's pictures. She did this whole I think it was PTSD.
So the audience knows. She's been around for a long time. She's not just a girl Kanye.
Yeah,
famous.
no,
She was in Uncut Gems.
I'm saying this for the audience, because
Yeah.
I hate this narrative that Julia Fox just popped up because she was in Uncut Gems. Julia Fox
But she didn't want to be seen with Ye. Yeah, she worked hard on her own. I'll give her that credit.
No, yeah, for sure. It's before she was in Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler. She made friends with the Safdie brothers because she was a New York socialite. But before that, It's very interesting. I think it's either PTSD or her other book. She drove through the South, Mississippi, Louisiana and stuff, and just stayed with people that she was partying with, doing cocaine and heroin and stuff, and just took Polaroid pictures of her getting fucked, or people doing heroin, or people getting the shit beaten out of them, and then just created.
That's Hunter S. Thompson as fuck.
She created a coffee table book of the brutality of the South. and called it PTSD. And like included screen caps of like text messages she had with people that were fucking her at the time. And it's genuinely like heartbreaking. It's a really, really cool set of art. So I just want to throw that out there because a lot of people don't give Julia Fox her credit. She is genuinely like a very, very brilliant artist. And, you know, people kind of just do the uncut or Kanye thing with her. Cool shit. Love
Absolutely.
Julia Fox. Shout out her.
Dude, this is your value to the show. This is your biggest value. You said you're the fun fat guy, right? You're doing your job.
Yeah, this stuff is cool. I am looking at it.
Yeah, no, yeah, you Googled it. Yeah, Julia Fox is based, dude. She has a lot of cool fucking art exhibits and shit.
Julia Fox, Dave?
I mean, now I know that I need to look into this person because I
right.
Other than being someone that Kanye was like having cosplay as Kim, I didn't know who she was.
She is someone Kanye had cosplay as Kim.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting how Kim immediately started wearing like pinks and like shit like that. And Kanye is still dressing his girlfriends up in the black, like he owns the color scheme.
Yeah.
He's just taking the dark cloud with him. I don't know.
Sci-fi is depressing because it's literally his ex-wife talking about how much she loved him and how much she believed in him and how he's the most influential rapper in the world. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
I think what bothers me the most about this song is how much, and this may sound stupid, but Kim Kardashian comes off in this song a lot like my mom does. The way my mom talks to me. And so like her talking about Kanye like that just gave me a sense of like indescribable love, like unstoppable love, and then just knowing the context that she's gone and then hearing this song after that feeling. It's such a fucking weirdly powerful song, dude.
It really is like the sequel to Wouldn't Leave.
Yeah.
Like he was wrong about that.
He probably feels like he's in a fucking sci-fi right now. He feels like he's talking to the HAL 9000.
Sucking my nuts, bitch, Dave. That's what Hal said, remember, in the movie?
Right, of course.
Actually, never mind. Cut that out. Go ahead.
So sci-fi was a huge fucking pain in the ass to mix. Well, let me rephrase that. Sci-fi was a huge fucking worthwhile challenge to mix. Kanye, as he's done like 4 times by now, left 2 of the stems blank and put 4 stems worth of things into the 2 stems. So there was a lot of collateral damage, but I was saved by a little thing called multiband compression. And multiband compression, of course, allows you to look at sound as if you're on an equalizer. Like you can. There's like 3 different individual compressors that are focused on different frequency ranges. So there's one for the lows around like 10 to 250, and then of course the mids and highs and all that. But there was no way without that it would even be listenable, I think, because there's just so much muddiness in the low mids in both things. And then fun little fact. Kim and Ye, like, they're both of their vocals for Kim's little vocal sample and Kanye's entire screed on the back half of this track, they both share a stem. It could be because they're both vocals, but there's also 2 stems that anything else could have gone on. I like to think that this is a point about them being inseparable, because these 2 voices are totally different. Like, they sound totally different, and they have totally different needs from an EQ perspective. Like, Kim's voice was a little harsh in the highs and needed to be boosted in the low mids, but
you can only turn it on or off, like the vocal track.
Yeah, but with Ye, like, it's totally the opposite. Where if I kept the same EQ settings for Kim's sample as I did for Ye's vocals, it would be totally unlistenable. So I needed to automate a bit, and plus the delay on this track that's on pretty much every single time he says, this is sci-fi, make a choice, oxygen or Wi-Fi. It's deafening. It's a good effect, but I trimmed it a little bit. Overall, I really enjoyed this song, and it's I think it's exactly the heartbreaking arc that Kanye wanted it to be. I feel emptier after having after having listened to this so many times.
I feel like we're all going to have a big fist fight whenever we get to our 1 through 10 rating at the end of this.
Oh,
yeah.
fun.
Well, I just think it's a 10.
Yeah, for sure. What I said
10,
was
a 9 or a
correct.
10.
Now I know for sure.
Oh boy, here we
Oh, I
fucking
don't
go.
care. Like, if you don't like it, it's fine.
We still got 5 whole tracks to go.
You're right.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and bump up to that next one. Hey, you know what? We've been doing a whole lot of Dave worship here. I'm going to go ahead and send this one over to Riley. Vizzy.
Oh, boy.
Selfish.
I love XX. I think that everything he's ever done was valid.
Everything?
I think he's a young man growing up in a harsh world, and he was placed in an environment where people acted a certain type of way.
Okay.
He responded in kind.
You're right. All right,
It's
never
been
mind.
pretty consistent and heavily documented. I come from a similar background. I love the song Selfish. True Love and Selfish really are the highlights of the album for me. City of Gods is fine. We'll get to what I think of that. But those are the 3 like real standout songs, I think. And man, Selfish is good. Like, True Love is the best song on the album to me. But Selfish has that same kind of vibe. And these songs make me just wish that X was around to make more songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like
I was
that
about to say
combination,
Seriously.
living, having a life, like having that relationship have a life. I feel the same way about Eminem and Juice WRLD, like how they don't have like a living relationship. Even though they had such a strong musical relationship, even when they were alive, they were fans of each other. And they just never really got the chance to work.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they recorded Godzilla before he died, but it was released posthumously. And so they never toured together like that or nothing.
Yeah, that's a huge shame.
I really
for
wish
sure.
Ye and X had. Yeah.
I mean, like XXX Tentacion, it's very much like Mac Miller to me, like in the sense that it's difficult for me to accept their passing. Like I think of Mac Miller and I think of Something Eternal. I think of XXX Tentacion.
Yeah.
I think of Something Eternal. And I think it was because of the wholly unique lane that both of them went down. I mean, Mac Miller went down like nearly a funk alt pop road near the end of his career, and then X was just continuing to push the top of that SoundCloud aggressive barrier while still kind of blending into pop. And there will never be another version of both of those, so it's sad but also satisfying to hear X on this album this much. I wish
There'd
he was...
definitely be no Sucker Punch without X.
No, yeah, I mean, shout out X. Fucking miss you. I would love to hear you on every single one of these songs. But
I was actually telling Dave earlier my perfect remix of this. If I was doing a remix, I said this earlier.
Yes, yeah.
I said if I was doing the remix, I would take the stems of X from Selfish and True Love, make that a song, and then just line it up differently to each beat and make every song just his vocals on this.
Yeah.
man,
I'm
I
gonna
really
probably
wish
actually
he
do that
didn't
now.
try and rape his girlfriend with a barbecue poker. That way I could also...
I mean, I don't know. He didn't get a chance to sue anybody like Johnny did.
You're right. Yeah,
And
you're right.
We know that Johnny Depp won in court.
You're right. I'm
gonna use
hating.
that transitively.
But you know who's not
No,
hating?
I get it.
You know who's not hating is the Lord who lifts us up.
Amen,
Yes,
brother.
lift me up.
Shout out the
Lift
Lord.
me
I know I'm
up.
Jewish, but you know the Lord protects
This
me
feels
too.
like a holdover from Donda or Jesus is King. Donda had a few songs that felt like they were holdovers from Jesus is King. I'm like, well, this is the Mama album. Why is it still about religion necessarily?
Mhm.
This album, of course, went way more personal, broke back away from the religious themes. But, you know, Lord, lift me up.
I
has
think
them in
this
there.
this fits perfectly, actually.
Yeah?
I think this was made for this album.
Okay.
Because like we're
Dave,
getting.
you are the religious expert here.
That's true.
You have a degree in religion.
We're
You have your God degree. Just so everybody knows.
yeah.
Dave's spoken
getting-
to Jesus personally.
I'm a real Jehovah's.
No, I'm the
Witness.
bipolar.
Well, no, I'm not actually Jehovah's.
I'm
Witness.
talking to Jesus.
Lord Lift Me Up, I think, fits perfectly because it's not really a worship song. It's a I've fucking had enough song. I just need to literally kill me, God.
Okay, kill me, please.
Like that doesn't belong on
I've
Jesus
had
as
enough.
king. Like this is
He's just saying he
I'm
wants to die.
tearing my fucking hair out, dog. I want to leave.
Yeah.
Well, he's not saying it. I think it's Rory.
Well,
One of the guys.
The album's message.
The album is saying
at
it,
the
yeah.
moment, please let me die. I wanna die.
Yeah.
Please let me die.
Yeah. I see this as like, so you're talking about the arc structure of this album again. Like, we started off in the broken place, then we go into the like trying to pick himself up, but it totally falls through, unhappy. And then Sci-Fi is like really appreciating the gravity of what we've lost. And then like Selfish, I feel like, is where he's basically just admitting it is kind of like an emotional reset back to true love, right? Because we got the X sample again.
Right.
It's a similar kind of vibe. And it's
he
like
lost his best friend and his spouse this year, dude.
yeah, so like, but it's coming at it from a different angle where now he's not as much heartbroken about it because he's had some time to process it as he is like just upset with himself over the fact that we're in this situation. And then like the last sort of ditch, like, you know, when everything else fails, what have you got? God. So like this is the last arc is like, all right, if everything else is fucked, like if I can't lift myself up, God, you got to lift me up. And you know, it brings him to the point of, you know, the Easy being the last song where it's like slightly empowering. Like, well, hey, it's always been hard. You know, like that's where like the lift up of God and the City of Gods and all that has gotten us to. Is like, that's the best, that's the most empowered the album feels is Easy, you know, which is still pretty hollow and dark.
Speaking of City of Gods, the only reason I'm kind of trying to push through the rest of these is I just noticed that we've been recording for 2.5 hours over here.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So we're going to go ahead and jump over to City of Gods. I would like to go ahead and hear Mr. Cranberry Dave's opinion of this song. Go ahead, buddy.
This song, when I got it, it was very, very harsh on the ears. Everything was too loud, and there was way too much like high-end activity. It was so hissy. Let's get it out of the way in plain text right at the outset.
I was gonna, before you say it, I was just gonna make a joke.
Go ahead.
About if you cut all the Jay-Z vocals out. If that's like something you did on purpose or it came that way.
Yes, that was an intentional choice, cutting out all of the Jay-Z vocals from this. This
is Empire State of Mind.
Yeah, this isn't even a different song from Empire State of Mind in any meaningful way. We talked about this earlier as well, that it's just like a palette swap, like a reskin of that song, including Alicia Keys as well.
New York, Alicia Keys loves New York.
Yeah, I like it.
It's a type of song, like an Eminem, Skylar Grey song's like a type of song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Alicia Keys singing a rap song hook about New York is like a type of song.
Now let's move on to a different type of song.
Oh shit!
Okay.
A song that actually kind of blew me out of the water in terms
City
of
of Gods was the
expectation.
feature of the year, though. Don't get me wrong.
True.
Like Ye's verse on that was the best verse on this as far as a rap verse. And when he said that to 5e, I think it works. I can't think of a better rap feature this year.
I mean, we're about to talk about a contender, first time featuring fucking Soulja Boy.
You think Soulja Boy is a contender for
I think Soulja Boy brought it.
What a good verse. I think Trixie's the Soulja Boy of the internet. Or whatever.
Well,
like,
Soulja Boy is the
Soulja
Soulja Boy of
hip-hop.
the internet, right?
Yeah, for real, actually.
Oh, okay, then of like YouTube or something.
No, it's funny because you say that, but for real,
You don't get
Soulja Boy
appreciated,
probably
but
would
you
be
like-
the one of the rappers that would go, nah, I was doing anime shit before Trixie was.
Well, more so than anime, I'm thinking of just YouTube. Like, he had a YouTube since 2006. Like, he
What a
blew up
guy,
through
dude.
YouTube.
Well,
Shout
he
out
deserves
Soulja
every
Boy.
flower.
Come on our podcast, dude, please.
I
Yeah.
love Soulja.
His-
Yeah,
That would be
or Lil B
incredible.
the bass god. Either of you.
Yeah,
I'll fight
no,
that.
actually, preferably Lil B. If you come on here, I'm just gonna.
Preferably, he'll ask.
Yeah, no,
just-
fuck
I
Soulja
just-
Boy. I want to get Lil
just
B on
lost
here so
Soulja
I can
Boy.
talk to him about like his. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Let's go into first time. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Beautiful. So Soulja Boy.
Soulja Boy, not only did he do a perfect,
For the first time in a
very
long
good
time.
verse, it was also recorded perfectly, flawlessly, And that's more than can be said for Kanye's vocals
Look,
on this track.
he was in an ice hockey stadium or something.
Well, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, like, 2/3 of the track is fine. But there was like, at least one take where he had the innovative idea of, like, rapping with a pillow strapped to his face, or, like, rapping with a pillow being, like, he's being strangled or something.
Soldier Boy was suffocating him for cutting him from
Yeah.
Donda during his verse.
Yeah, something like that. But, like, or maybe the meds kicked in. He chugged some NyQuil back when they still had alcohol
I love it when he starts
in it.
mumbling on it, though. Like, when he...
It's the
you
mumbling,
can still
but
get high
also
on
there's a
NyQuil,
muffled
by the way.
quality
Any
to
kids
it.
listening, you can still get fucked up off NyQuil, I promise.
Oh, shit, really?
Yeah.
Officially endorsed by Bad Ear Music.
Yeah, shout out. Drink a bunch of NyQuil and check out my
Shout out
SoundCloud.
NyQuil.
Trust me.
But yeah, he mumbles. You don't like that part?
It's not even
Or
that
it's
he
not-
Well, it's that he mumbles and also is, like, moving away from the mic. And so it just...
Yeah.
the noise gate picks up on it, so it just sounds like a bad Dick Show caller.
No, that's
It just
fair.
sounds like...
It's clearly some of these songs were just fucking not meant to be. They weren't they weren't meant to sell records.
No.
They were just meant to be felt and experienced.
It's also
That's
that...
what I would
It's
say
also
about
that I
this
think
album.
none of these tracks were revisited, and the initial session...
Yeah.
Like, when the amount of done they were at the time of the initial session is how done they are on the stem player.
It's just art, dude.
Yeah.
It's just like they made the art projects and they like left it there and said that's art now.
Mm-hmm.
I love it, obviously. That's how I tend to do shit.
Yeah, same.
All right, so moving on, the final track on this album, with a Easy Does It Sam, fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I just, like, this is like top 3 on this album. One of my
G-Eazy
favorites.
did it better though. You don't think so?
Logic did it better.
I
Come
haven't
on.
heard enough of that song to have an
Easy.
opinion yet. Because
Yeah.
well, also I've listened to this song for hours and hours and hours, so
That's
I'm
fair.
biased. But again, multi-band compression was my best friend on this this track, especially because I love Ye, but some of his sound selections are so bizarre. Like the kick on this track in the original in the version that everyone heard that was on streaming platforms and everything.
Yeah.
The kick sucks. It's
Huh.
really there's just so much unnecessary rumble, and however you did the bus effects just accentuates all of the clashing between the 808 and the kick. It doesn't have much of a low end presence, but the presence that does exist really sucks. So I comped the shit out of that without getting rid of the like mid low, or it's mid low mid, I guess.
Okay.
The snare has a lot of mid punch that if I had just EQ'd everything out, it would have not sounded nearly as good. And everything was all rumbly, so I had even the bass I had to cut around between like 10 and 30 hertz. I other than the little nitpicks, I really love the keys and just the chord progression. It's so ominous and menacing, and I could see how if you were Pete Davidson listening to this song, you would consider it a threat.
Yeah.
Even if on this you don't know what of Pete Davidson Kanye is kicking because they censored the swears only on the
kick Pete Davidson's.
only on the stem player though. The YouTube version and the Spotify version both say that he's going to kick Pete
That's what I had
Davidson's
thought,
ass.
because I had remembered hearing it that way, and when I heard it the original way, it sounded really pathetic to me. And then when I heard the way it is on the stem player, where it's like a giggle over it, it made it seem like he was making fun of himself, which made it work for me. That like he's saying this thing because he's emotional, but he's also kind of like being tongue-in-cheek about it. But
I'll
yeah,
tell you who has whose tongue and whose cheek.
Yeah.
That's Pete's and Kim's.
But yeah, the you know,
Sorry.
my life was never easy is like such an it's one of those things that's so obvious you can't believe he was like, how did nobody else already do this exact idea, you know?
Well, everyone has. I don't know.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Wait, did
Yeah,
they say
no,
wait,
you have
did they
like
say-
Logic
like six
fucking sampling
Easy
that.
Does It.
Did
No.
they say it like that though? Like, my life was
No.
never
G-Eazy did if it was easy, everyone would do it.
No, and
That's
then you
kind-
also had
kind of-
Insane Clown Posse, who had the I'm the jugga lugga lugga woney. Shut the fuck up. Get the fuck out of here. That's almost like the Amen break, where it's like one of the most sampled clips in hip hop.
Yeah.
Which
No,
to
I'm
your
not- I'm
point,
not even
I think
talking
is
about sampling
impressive
it.
because he found a new way to flip it. So
Right.
to your
It's
point,
just
It's just that easy
specifically
part.
that he said, "My life was never easy." Like
Yeah, and then easy.
I couldn't
Yeah.
believe, like, because I heard that and it was one of those things where I felt like this has existed forever. Like this specific
yeah.
phrasing.
Yeah,
The rest of the
that's fair.
song didn't hit me as.
G-Eazy's is this game is not easy.
It does sound almost the same in
It's like
G-Eazy's
the same.
song.
Well,
That's
I mean,
funny.
it's just this. It's the same sample.
Well,
What can you do?
Kanye West is black and G-Eazy's white. He's a guest, so I'm giving it to the person who actually has the keys to the house.
Speaking of keys to the house, the game was on this track, and he fucking knocked it out of the park.
I'm
Speaking
dead
of keys
serious.
to the house,
I'll say
because
some
the
shit
game
right
makes
now
it
that
into-
might actually get people to fucking discredit everything I say in hip hop. The game is in my top 3. I don't care. I don't give a fuck.
Nah, he's good. That's not that bad of a take.
The
No,
game,
yeah.
the game is either 2 or 3 for me because of the documentary, because of every other album that he's fucking put out. Every single verse that he's done, his voice is the perfect hip hop voice, and he's always delivered on flows. I fucking love the game. Shout out the game. Fucking incredible way to end this album.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a perfect album. I'd give it a 10 out of 10. I spent $600 on this album because I got 3 Donda stem players. It's very important that you all know that about me.
We
'Cause you
balling.
can't be my friend without knowing that.
Dave, what do you give it?
I give this album an 8 out of 10.
Why?
I worked on the album, so my claim is more impressive than Riley's.
Like I mixed this version
I
that
mixed
you can
it.
listen to in the Google Drive. In the
Anyone can
description.
own a stem player. 8 out of 10. This album was. I say 8 out of 10, not as in
What,
I
you
got.
think because you worked on it, you have a better
No.
claim than I do? You give it a lower score, you motherfucker.
No,
Hater.
my enjoyment of this album does not come from like enjoyment. It comes from this album got me to feel a very specific type of anxiety, like sympathetic, like stomach churning terror of like. Imagine what the
bitch
fuck
for my
Kanye's
kids.
going through right
Yeah.
now. Like this is what I would make if I was having his problems. And I mean, it's also just a quality fucking piece of art. It's I've sung its praises. It's fucking beautiful, and
Can't wait to see what he does next.
yeah, despite its unfinishedness, I'm very excited to hear what he does next that is finished.
Do you think he'll ever finish anything again? He can just offload it on the Donda.
You're right.
It's your job.
He can
now.
just
Good.
update it.
Fuck you. Make it
everything.
your job.
Well, now I feel like it's time to hear what Trixie has to say. 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
I would also say I would give this like an 8, based on Cranberry Dave's mix. It's which again
And
I had
you
no
gave Donda
problems with.
7.
Yeah, I
Just
liked
remind
this one
everybody.
more. I liked this one more after hearing Dave's mix of it because, again, Dave just mixed it better than a lot of my problems with Ye's music on the last few albums have involved mixing here and there. So like, there's certain
That was
songs
a
where
heavy
I'm
part
like,
of your Donda review.
yeah. So this one, like hearing it well mixed, it's like okay, I accept all these songs as like songs. I get where they're coming from emotionally. I feel like it has a really strong arc. It has a strong narrative. And to me, I really think how much you like this album is almost certainly going to be directly proportional to how much you care about Ye. Like, if for someone like Riley, who has been deeply invested in the narrative and considers him to be like one of the greatest artists of all time that you're like personally
Like
invested
bipolar
in.
senpai.
Right. Like, I totally get why it would be your number one. Whereas for me, like, he is one of my favorite artists, but I've never related to him so closely that any of his albums is like, I mean, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy hit me in a very special type of way at a certain point in my life that made me connect with it really hard and got me more into Ye in a general sense. But for the most part, like, I've always seen him as somebody who like fucks up in lots of ways I wouldn't have. So it's like I can't look at him as necessarily a role model. as so much as another, like, just a genius who I want to take notes from and see everything they do. But like,
well, see, it's like everything he does is necessarily correct. As long as you understand that, you don't have to worry about any perceived mistakes. Anything Ye would do is the right thing to have done.
Yeah, what would Yeezus do?
Yeah, what would Yeezy do? Yeezy taught me.
So
Yeezy taught me.
My final review on the album after I've listened to it a couple of times.
3.
Actually, Trixie, do you have more to say? I'm so sorry for cutting
No,
you.
that's pretty much it.
Okay.
I'll just say my favorite track is True Love. X. My favorite things on this album are the Extentacion hooks that I wouldn't have really had a context to hear. And, like, I'm not somebody who loves X's music by itself. Like, most of the songs he did also feel really incomplete. It was just like a legacy of amazing stems. And I'm glad that, some of the best ones got put to use in an interesting way here.
I have the lowest rating for this album out of all of us. I think I'm going to give it a 6. It's good.
I thought you'd give it a 3, so that's good.
Well, it's good. It's positive. I definitely don't dislike the album. I definitely don't
You thought
hate
we were
it.
going to fist fight over a 6?
Well, I've seen it happen. I'm giving
That's
it...
fair. I get you.
Remember when Fantano gave Damn and Lil Pump a 7?
Remember
like
whenever Fantano gave My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy a 6?
Yeah, that's really dumb.
Oh, you're right.
So-
Fuck,
And then
I
did
forgot
it
about
again,
that.
did another review years later where he said it was a slightly lower 6 than he thought
Look,
the first time.
That's a 9. That album's a 9. He got
So-
it upside down because his glasses won't work.
Yeah,
for me,
sure.
this album is a 6
Fucking dork.
because it feels uncollected. I don't have... There's no song on this album that hits me as hard as certain songs from previous album. I can look at Jesus is King and then look at certain songs on that album that hit me harder than songs on this album. And
The fucking Chick-fil-A one? You hate gay people
no,
that much?
it's like riding on a white bike, feeling like Excite Bike, like that.
Yeah, you're right. That was
That song's so
Oh,
that
fucking
goes hard.
hard. Like
Don't
there's
get me wrong, that's a 10 out of 10 album too.
Yeah.
Especially the uncut.
oh,
like,
and
Gandhi version.
Selah on it, the first track, like it.
Oh,
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is like I am a career long fan of Ye's music. So whenever I hear this album, it more feels like I'm looking through latest uploads on an artist's SoundCloud than I am a structured album. And on
Yeah,
top of
that's
that,
fair.
it feels like songs that wouldn't have actually made an album. These feel like throwaways in a sense, which a Kanye West throwaway is still better than your favorite artist's best song. So let's get that out of the way first and
he's
foremost.
good at what he does.
I have to give this a 6 because that's the way I feel about it.
I respect that. That's a very good review.
Yeah.
And you're not being a hater necessarily, and even if you were, you're a fan even when you hate.
Yep.
Fans
oscillate.
That's fact. Sucker
We have
Punch,
a
baby.
new
Check us
song.
out.
We have a new song that will be out immediately after this podcast is out, so it's out right now. You can go listen to it.
Check us
Kale's
out.
on it. I'm on it. Trixie's on it.
Woo!
Dave produced it. Mint's on it. It's loaded. We got Dyra on it. Go check it out.
Hey, if there's 2 things you need to do today, it's tell your friends about this show, listen to Fans Oscillate. You don't need to do anything else. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys so much for crashing out. We are the motherfucking Jittery Zeitgeist podcast. It's everybody from me to Trixie to Dave
Yep.
to Vizzy. Don't ever fucking trip. We'll catch you guys next time. Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Peace
Yo,
out.
what are we reviewing next time?
Oh,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
a good fucking point. It's
Real quick,
motherfucking
like that.
Snub Nose by Grip. That's my pick. You guys are
I've
gonna
never
be.
heard of this. Can't wait.
You guys are gonna be locked in. Motherfucking Vizzy. I'm sorry. You are going
Yes.
to be a big fan of this track, not only because Grip just recently signed a deal with Shady Records, not
Oh, nice.
only because this is a concept album from the perspective of a 38 special snub nose revolver.
That's cool.
Not
Oh,
only
what?
because this is an Atlanta rapper that raps like Kendrick Lamar, but on top of all of that, it gets experimental, baby. And it's all happening.
excited.
We're right here. We're going to listen to the whole motherfucking thing.
Hell yeah.
I'm really excited. We're going to come back to you guys next week. We're going to tell you how we think about it. Thank you guys for listening, for real.